Hey guys, welcome to the marriage brokerage firm. How's everyone doing? Hey Kay, how you doing, girl?
Hey, boo boo, how you doing?
Hi, girl. How you doing, Ray?
I'm doing
Go
I'm
ahead.
doing well, thank you. And
I
thanks
am
for inviting me tonight.
I am so excited to have you because we are talking about a very touchy topic, and it is so great to have this coming from a man. So, today's topic is, are you man enough for today's alpha woman? We want to know if y'all guys are man enough for today's alpha woman. So, Ray, before we go on, I want you to give us a little background about you and why this topic. I know you're a brother that loves family and marriage and all that good stuff, but what made you into that type? Have you always been that type of man, or did you
Okay,
mature
let's
type
focus
of
on
man?
one question. You gave him so much there. Let him introduce himself first.
Okay,
Right.
I'll
So,
try to cover all of that for you real quick like
yeah.
that. I
Uh,
am a family man of faith. I'm a degree professional at the graduate level as well. I work in medical finance. I'm also married to a professional woman who has a professional degree as well as a graduate degree. And maybe I have been that way because we met in college. She was completing her master's. Uh, when I was a senior in college, we met. We didn't immediately start dating, but after she finished graduate school, we did connect again and start building a relationship. I've worked a part of this as a layperson in our church, where we help put together premarital programs, somewhat best based on some of the things that you see in eHarmony, as far as those are the types of things. We've also helped put some of the curriculum together that our church used for our singles ministry, as well as helping them to, be content in their singlehood until they are, and also to prepare them if marriage would be the next step on that. And overall, I'm just a person that's concerned about our community. I do want to see our brothers be the best version of themselves. I want to see Black boys, um, optimize their development and be excellent men, and primarily so that they can be excellent husbands and fathers and community leaders to help us move to the next step level of political and economic empowerment.
All right.
okay.
Slow down.
Love it. So, what I can relate to you on is the faith aspect because I've been married. I've been bad. I've been married a couple of times more than I should have been. And the main thing that I come to grasp is if you want a successful marriage, you have to put God first. One of the two of us, y'all, or however that goes with a couple, have to put God first. Because otherwise, who would you have to look to except your partner? You can't
Mhm.
look to another human because you're going to be disappointed every time. That's just human nature. So I appreciate that fact with you. So you were already, like you said, a lay person and you were already in the church. So that kind of shaped and molded your appreciation for marriage, you're saying?
That's correct. And
Oh,
it was like like growing up in the church like that. Although a lot of my family members they didn't, because a lot of my family members were not as active in the church. We have diverse family culture, but I'm thankful that my maternal grandparents were a good example for me. They were the chief influences on me. My grandfather is Baptist, he's passed on, and my grandmother was AME, or African Methodist Episcopal. So I kind of got to grow up in both of those churches, and I think that having a faith, a moral code, and an example that you're attempting to follow. No one is perfect, but what we're doing is attempting to follow a moral code that helps us be better people, better husbands, better fathers, better community members, and stand up for each other in that way.
Okay, hold on. Did she kick herself out again?
Let me see what she's gonna come back into us.
She struggled streaming early. I mean, we're like we're like 3 minutes in.
That
Okay.
means he's gonna be a good stream if it starts
Is
off
that what
like
that
that.
means?
That's
Okay,
what
so
that
that's
means.
good luck.
Uh huh.
That's a sign of good luck. Okay, I'll run with it. Where did she go? Okay, Miss Tish. Because I know she had a follow-up question for you. We're going to give her about 5 more seconds.
Okay.
But you can continue on. I'm sure she's still listening.
Well, like I was saying in the late, there's Neil Clark Warren is the Christian minister who helped develop eHarmony, and
Mm-hmm.
basically he in premarital counseling he has these 101 questions that you ask, and usually you go over it, maybe 2 months, 3 months, based on who the minister that you're with, and this kind of prepares couples. And I also believe in postmarital enrichment, and that might be once a year, or twice a year, and it could be a weekend retreat, because I think that we can't just throw these couples out there and expect them to learn and do everything on their own. They need that. And when they're just out there kind of isolated, then
Mm-hmm.
everything happens. So at least since we don't have those close knit small communities that we used to have, because now you might go to school one place, work a different place, be a state away or states away from your family. You might even be
Mm-hmm.
overseas. And so things have changed so much that we don't have those close knit communities, and the churches can be those to some degree. And I do see some churches trying to do that for the people who have faith. Mhm.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry about that, y'all. What did I miss?
Okay. We were talking about weekend retreats, as far as with the church and stuff like that for married couples to help, like yearly, trying to,
Okay.
give them a support system, and I honestly think that's a pretty good idea, whether it's with the church or not, but just
Mhm.
a time for you to, look at your relationship, see how other people work in their relationships. There may be some things you may, need to tweak, and you may get that reinforcement from someone else where they, see something that you don't see, or give you some insight as to what's going on in their marriage, which technically you shouldn't take somebody else's life and make it yours, but sometimes you can learn from other people's mistakes or their achievements.
Yeah, and to
Right.
go over that as well, we were talking about premarital counseling, postmarital enrichment, and also I agree with you, Kay. Secular could be just as well. Couples retreats or just retreats where you go and you have people who can kind of foster those positive qualities of marriage, or even with therapists or non-therapists who really help you, because we're throwing these couples out there without a support system. And it's not totally their fault. The society has changed so rapidly. I mean, we went from an industrial to a digital society. Things are moving very rapidly, and so marriage has to catch up with that. And I think a lot of the pushback that we're getting from a lot of the men is that some men, I think, want to go back to the 1950s, where they were totally, you know, the
In
breadwinner, they
control.
were totally in control, and that the wife would be not just submissive, subservient, and totally dependent on them.
Hmm.
And once you educated your women and given them the opportunities, and we've benefited from that, they're not going to go to those types of things. So men also have to adjust to the 21st century by making sure they have the skill sets or education or an income to be either a breadwinner, or if you're going to be with a wife who is a professional, educated woman, or an entrepreneur who's financially independent, and you're her partner, you're her life partner, husband, leader of the family, leader of the home, it's going to be a different dynamic, but it's not going to be the dynamic that it was in the 1950s. It's going to be a modern dynamic that you negotiate together.
Wow. So I
Absolutely.
love that. I love, yeah. So, I mean, because, we have even people that call themselves the 1950s and stuff like that. And the thing is, men want those 1950s values, but they don't want to do the 1950 things that would produce the 1950 results from women. But before we go into the crux of what that we're talking about, I wanted to thank the moderators in advance. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Trash Can Waves, for always doing what you do awesomely. Thank you so much, Vega, for being here. Thank you so much, Before the Billions. I know you're a young man and you're not married as of yet. So hopefully, with the new platform, you can learn something and bring it into your life, into your relationship. Hey, Patrice, girl, how you doing? Appreciate always you being here. Destination Dad. Hey, how are you doing today? I appreciate you as always. Let's see. And Mrs. Mary, thank you for coming. What she says, Tish and Kay, glad to see you and everyone in the chat. I love your show, would not miss it. Thank you so much for that, Mrs. Mary. And we already had a comment. So basically today we're supposed to be, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, Ray. As a professional woman, there is, especially a Black woman, there is a stigma of being educated and being professional, and we have to scale back so to keep the man comfortable.
To
And
accommodate
so
his ego.
exactly, to accommodate his ego. And I am so glad to have this conversation with a man. And definitely it's not gonna be men bashing because I love men. I would like to marry one again, sometime in my lifetime again. But it's just to, with all this stuff going on in the manosphere on how to get over on women. I learned a new term, negging. Negging meaning basically how undermining a woman's accomplishments and what she is as a woman, to have that control over her and to have his way with her. I'm just learning that term on the last live stream. So I'm so glad that as a man, you are basically, for the first time, I felt free. I was like, hold up, I am an alpha woman and I should be proud of it.
Right.
Anything, of course, in moderation, anything that you overdo, even something good, you can overdo it and totally kill whatever good that you can get out of a situation. But for the first time, I really felt comfortable and empowered that it's okay that I went to college. It's okay that I studied and I was consistent in studying and achieved what I wanted to achieve. It's okay. It's okay that I make decent money. It's okay. And I want to thank you so much for making me feel like it's okay. And I don't have to scale myself back. I don't have to, when a man asks
Be
me,
less.
yeah, because a lot of times men do ask you what you do for a living. And I find myself, Ray and Kay, actually dancing around. I don't want to tell them because they know with my career it's an automatic tax bracket that I would be in. So I really appreciate that I can be my full alpha female glory. Now, Kay never had that problem. She always gonna be alpha female, okay? But but she's also married and she's cool. Her husband loves her being an alpha female. He loves it because he's definitely an alpha male. I just want to thank you first of all. But we had a comment, and as women, we can tell each other things all day, but it does help when you get it from another perspective. It really, really does. So I love that, and to be able to feel and to live the life that you live, you have to be a healthy and whole man.
That's true. Period. And I'm glad that has helped you, because you are going to shine, and as you shine, you'll attract the type of men who have high self-esteem, who respect the things that you've done with your life, and who want to be a part of that. My view is that the men who don't want to hear about how hard it was for you to become a doctor of pharmacy, how you had to take licensing exam, you have to maintain that, you have to do a lot of work, and that you are a highly accomplished woman. The type of men that don't appreciate that would not be the type of men for you. And they need to recognize that as well. So if they're saying that your degree means nothing, that your education means nothing, that your profession means nothing, then they would not be the type of man for you, because the type of man for you would love what you've accomplished with your life. He would support that, and you would be smiling and shining as you are now, and you would be happy with him. If you have to tone it down to the degree where you can't even say what you do for a living, that's a tragic situation.
Yeah.
That would be very tragic. And so what we have to do is work on our brothers' self-esteem, and their self-esteem will be based on their accomplishment level. It's tough society here. There are a lot of things that have really happened against brothers, and we want to help them, but we're not going to help them by tarnishing and breaking down and bashing Black women. That's not how you help them. We help them by uplifting ourselves and elevating ourselves so that our women will be proud of us, who will respect who we are. There are a lot of things. So I was really glad because you were shining as you were expressing that. And I'm very glad. And you should be shining. You're a very attractive woman.
Thank you.
A man would be very blessed to have you in his life, but he has to appreciate everything that you have. Your education, your beauty, your all of that you are.
My dogs.
Your dogs too. Everything that you have, and he needs to be bringing some positive things to the table. And I think a lot of these guys, it's a tough society for men. It's a tough society for Black men. But the issue of getting Black men on par, that's our responsibility as other Black men. And so that's what we need to be doing. That's a failure on our part. And the abandonment of children, there are groups that get on YouTube who talk about they've basically abandoned Black children. They got on President Obama when he talked about that, when he was a senator, when he talked about at the church and that fatherless homes do not produce the best outcomes for boys. And if you want to sleep or have a quote, pump and dump culture is just say, have sex without commitment, have sex without commitment. And so if you're going to have sex and you're going to try to go through all these women, at some point, somebody's going to get pregnant. If you're not committed to that woman and married to that woman, and and the woman wants to have a child, she's at the age, she's been with you maybe a number of years, or she's at that age where she wants to have a child. You were participating in that with her. You were not forced into it, but you may be a father, and we responsible men are going to make you at least pay your part, and you may not be a part of the child's life as you should, but you're going to be a financial part, and the court system is going to force you to do that. And we'll deal with us through the court system, and don't attack these women. And so those are some of the things that we're dealing with now. But it's our responsibility as men to socialize, educate, and develop these Black boys for personal excellence so that they'll be responsible men, good husbands, and good fathers, and good community members and leaders. So that's our responsibility. You can assist us with that by encouraging us, by inspiring us, by being our life partners, wives, friends, companions, helpmeets. But we are the ones that should be taking that lead to turn this thing around.
That was so good.
I know you've been dying to do. Okay, but you were dying to do it. I saw you waiting for a moment.
He was saying so many good things.
Good stuff.
Okay, so this is before we even had started the show, we got a comment, and it says from Ace, and it says an alpha woman is only an alpha woman among women. A man who bows to a so-called alpha woman is just a weak male. Who
said he's bowing to her?
A so-called alpha woman is not the peer of a man. What do y'all have to say about that already?
If she's an alpha woman, he's an alpha male, why does he have to bow down to her? Why can't it not be he just respects her and who she is? And those two personalities coincide and coexist. Right. I don't understand what the problem is. Why does it have to be a bow down? Why does one person have to bow down to another?
I don't know, Kay. I don't know. And that's the thing. We can even discuss.
Candy is a perfect example. Candy is a perfect example of an alpha female. And her husband respects her. That doesn't make him a punk. It doesn't make him a simp. It doesn't make him a weak man to be able to coexist with a woman that's as strong as he is.
Right. Ray shared this with me as an example. And this is perfect because not only everything you just said, Kay, but he doesn't make as much money. He's not as, when they met. Okay?
Financially stable as she is.
Right. I mean, he could be financially stable, but he wasn't, on that tax bracket as she. But it's the perfect, as you said, the perfect dynamic because she knows to submit to him as a husband, because you can see I like to watch Atlanta Housewives, and he wants to do things. He wants to be the leader, which he's supposed to be, and he does that. But she doesn't challenge him, even though she is more financially successful than him before they met. I love that. So as an alpha woman, it's still a hierarchy in society. It's still a way of how things are wired. So I just
Mm-hmm.
love that. I love that. And I love the fact that he doesn't undermine her from what we see. He doesn't be like, you're just a singer, or because men will do that. They will, and that's another thing, Ray. Being an alpha female, we have to watch for. We have to also watch for men. They can be financially stable themselves, but they also want to still count your pockets and what you can bring to their life to benefit them instead of benefiting each other's lives. Now that's a very big catch 22. Either they're gonna neg you, do the negging, or they're gonna do the watch your pockets and try to see how they can manipulate that from you. So it's really a double-edged
Well,
sword.
there's option three. There's option three. It's
What's
not
that?
just one or the other. Huh?
Well, I'm talking about when it comes to bad options. I'm talking about
Oh, bad
bad
options.
options.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, yeah. I'm talking about bad case scenarios. I mean, of course, Candy right here is. I mean, I would
A
love.
great example.
Great example. What do you feel about this, Ray? I mean, I know you shared this with me, but what made you think about Candy and her husband?
Based on what you said, there was also information. Dr. Sonia Rhodes is a marital therapist, and she wrote the book The Alpha Woman Meets Her Match. And she noted on the people that she counseled over 30 years is that two alpha personalities will clash. So
Okay, right.
the greatest marriage at risk is two alpha personalities, because both of them are going to fight to be, quote, the leader. The better thing is to have, and I would change it because we're getting out of the animal kingdom. Most men that date and marry, quote, alpha women like to see them shine. So Todd likes to see her shine.
He does.
He's not trying to compete with her. And look how happy she's been. She's had two children with him. And Candy's been through some mess. One guy that she was engaged to got killed. She's been going through a whole lot of changes. And she's been very happy. She's had, two children with him. When you meet a brilliant woman who is one of the most dynamic songwriters, music producers in the industry, you just have to love who she is. You can't come down. And the guys in the industry that are kind of at her level, they're not going to have the personalities to let her shine. They're going to want to shine. And that's probably why very few of them. And if you look at their wives, alpha men tend to marry women that they may be educated, but the women will not be outshining the man. So it's kind of a balancing act. But I would say that these men are pretty sharp. Todd's Candy accepted his daughter. His daughter's life is better. She's been doing great things, and she's just a beautiful woman. And another thing that we'll be getting into, this may become a norm in Black America because of the great work of Black young women in college education. Right now, millennial women are outperforming and out-earning millennial men. So for the Gen X's and the people beyond that, it's one thing. But the millennials and then the Generation Z, especially these young Black women, they are dominating a lot of areas. They are 60% of the medical students, 60% of the law students. And probably when you were completing your doctor of pharmacy degree, you probably didn't see, unfortunately, a lot of Black American men in that class.
No, we didn't have not one.
You did not have one. And
Not
that's
one.
tragic, because that's a very important, critical, essential industry. There are a lot of industries that are critical and essential, but that yours is as well. So as these women elevate themselves, then it's up to us as men to encourage these boys. You need to be getting to Morehouse. You need to be at Fort Valley State. You need to be in Air Force ROTC. You need to be doing everything you need to do so that you can develop your best self. Because if you're coming in contact with these women, then that's the type of woman that you have. Now, if you don't want to, if you're going to bash these women and you're going to say what they've done is not important, then leave them alone. Because basically, they are not the women for you. If you need a woman who is not degreed, who doesn't want any education, who wants to live off of your salary, whatever that is, and not work, and have your children at whatever home that you can provide for her, then you look for that type of woman. But you are not going to sit here and browbeat and bash these excellent women who've made great use of the opportunities that our civil rights generation fought for them to have. They fought for us to do those things as well. There have been some major deficits in men mentoring other men, men being a part of the home and family, to develop a larger group of excellent men. Because if you really want to increase the marriage rates, increase the number of Black men that are graduated from college, increase the number of Black men that are high skilled, who can develop their own plumbing company, that can develop their own construction company, who can develop their own skills so that they can be high income, self-employed entrepreneurs. But you're not going to sit here and not take advantage of all the opportunities that we have and then try to belittle, devalue, and break down our women because you won't get your act together. And this is coming from a man, because I tell them that same thing. You need, and because I've mentored people and I've mentored young men, and they know that I am stern on what I say, but I'm also encouraging of them, because you've got to do the work. And there are people on the internet, you've got to do the work. One of the things that they neglect to put out there that KS talks about is that the importance of male performance in the economy and the labor market. You cannot be talking about you want this petite size 6 and your job, your money. I mean, it is what it is. You're not going to get
what I say. Your money needs to match your demands.
Right.
And your character too.
Yeah.
I mean, there are too many women
making that money. You got to be willing to spend it. So all these guys you see with these young women, they are not there just for the fun. They're there for the fun of it, but you're going to spend some money because it does cost to be the boss. So if you are trying to get you a prima donna on a budget, you're not going to get that. And so these guys, but I think that we can turn it around when people look at and respect Todd for the happiness that he's brought to Candy's life and she's brought to him. And look at the quality of life he has.
Right.
I mean, this is who gets to live like that. Look at how he lives and how they live and how happy they are. Now, it is what it is, but these men that come on and trash our women, they're not going to have the last word on this, because there are more brothers that I have been hearing on YouTube who are standing up for our women, who want us as men to be excellent in what we're doing, and who want to mentor us. And we're not making excuses. We do understand that the society has been hard on Black men. Society is hard on men. We know that things are more difficult. It's more difficult for men to achieve certain things. But for what we want to do is help them still overcome those odds. We want to see more Black men in medical school, in dental school, in pharmacy school, in law school, in MBA programs. We want to see Black men master plumbers, master carpenters, master electricians, owning their own business, bringing in $250K in a family and saying, okay, you don't want to work, okay, I got this, and putting you in a nice house somewhere. We're not talking about qualifying for a tiny home. So if you're going to talk about you got an income that qualifies you for a tiny home somewhere, and she don't want to live in a tiny home, they're talking about that they just making $42,500 a year, right? And we want to increase that. We want to double that. Right. So the only type of home, because it's going to be 2.5 to 3 times your income, is the home that you qualify. That's a tiny home. So if you and your babe cool with a tiny home and you don't mind doing that, but you're not going to knock our sisters who have gone through these programs, our directors of marketing, these sisters who are directors of human resources. We got a sister that is threatening to become the governor of Georgia so bad that the current sitting Republican governor is being challenged. Anytime you are challenged, that means that they don't feel you finna win. So Stacey Edmonds, with her highest honors graduation, Phi Beta Kappa from Spelman, Master of Public Administration from the University of Texas, and law degree from Yale, may find herself the governor of Georgia, and she may pull in Raphael Warnock to be senator again, because she pulled him in. Her campaigning helped get a brother in the United States Senate.
That's the only reason he's there.
So when we start looking at these things from the right perspective, is that we've got to bring up our self-esteem. But you were saying something, Tish, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. What comment were you making?
Oh, no, I mean, I need to do this though. I was sorry to do that.
It's killing her. It's killing her.
Killing me. My arm was itchy, like
I was like,
I know. But let me ask you this. So why
what happened?
Why are the men so difficult on Black women on YouTube? Why they want to do the nagging? Why they want to, pump and dump? Why is there a culture of, because this culture has been out for a while, and now we're starting getting the culture of men who are like, hold up, I don't stand for this. I mean, I stand for this when I was like in my teens, but we still have men in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s who believe in this pump and dump culture and all of this. Where did this come from? Why are Black men mad at women for being
Black women?
Black women.
They're mad at Black women.
Right. Oh, exactly. Because yes, Black women. Why are our men mad at us for doing, like you said, Ray, for taking advantage of the things our ancestors fought so hard for? Why are they mad at us for that? What did we do? I know they like to say, and I know this is a long question, Kay, I get it, but they like to say, well, you allowed welfare to kick us out the home, and y'all Black women are partnering with the white man to bring us down. And where all of this come from? Now it's on YouTube. What do we do wrong?
It's primarily on the type of guys who are really attracted to spend a lot of time on YouTube. If you notice, you see some guys that when I start work, I'll see coming across my smartphone, one guy on one live stream for 4 hours. Then lunchtime, I'm seeing that same person or same group of people on another. They're basically on YouTube all day. The crust of it is, in my view, is that they're losing and they want to blame someone. And the closest person for them to blame is the woman. They don't want to acknowledge the fact that you're a highly competent woman that had to study chemistry, organic chemistry, physics. You had to study virology, immunology, cellular and molecular biology, and then pass a licensing test to show your competency, and then go into training to show. They just want to say, well, they gave you that chance. And that's not true. And they know that's not true. So what they're doing, instead of taking the time to learn what they needed to do. Now, these guys, and I don't want to add too much. There was a called the Black Manosphere Meetup that happened in Atlanta this past weekend. And the guys had really great intentions. But the videos come out, the guys that were there, you can say that they weren't winning. Most of those guys were overweight. They were old. A lot of them were not too tall. I'm not going to they had never really won.
He's short, fat, and unattractive.
And broke. And as Kevin said, you got to have one. You can't lose.
Pick a struggle.
You got to have one thing working for you. Now, if you're not handsome, you need to make a lot of money. If you're going to be fat, you need to make a lot of money, and then you're going to spend it. But you can't have all losses and talk about you want to date Drea Michelle or you want to step up to Tish. And the thing is that part of the reason why they feel that way is because, well, let me say this, it's because they're hurting and this is their last place that they can go. And the second part of that, Black women have been socialized to accept them as less than, because the system has hurt them.
Yes.
But what we better do is get on point and respect the fact of what the women have been doing, that they give us a chance even when we're underachieving. You feel where I'm coming from? Mm-hmm. That they would marry us and have children with many of our brothers who are not on point. Other communities don't do that. You probably work with, in your profession, you work with a lot of women from India.
Right.
You're not going to see a woman from India that's an MD, DDS, PhD, doctor of pharmacy, marry someone, and I'm not knocking, I got family members that are truck. Right. She's not going to marry a truck driver because her father and her mother and her brothers.
They have a caste system.
They will not.
They still work by the caste system.
Hmm. But you see sisters that are professional women that marrying a truck driver and be
Right.
proud to have his children. So
Hmm.
instead of attacking, we need to be getting our resource together, getting
Right.
our political power together, getting that. And right now in the black manosphere, they're going against each other. But the guys that are
Mm.
in the manosphere, the most vocal, they're not the same guys that you see that are vice presidents of Comerica Bank that have
Right.
an MBA from Northwestern University. They're not the guy that has the master's degree from Georgia Tech, who's an Oracle principal consultant. Those guys are busy working, making good money. They tend to be married. They tend to be successful in life. So the guys that are kind of, some people, there's this concept in China called leftover women. If
Hmm.
you go and look at those guys, and I don't mean because I care for them, I got concern and compassion for them, but they look like leftover men. The men that all the women said no, I'm not
Uh-huh.
interested. You're not doing for me what I need. And then some of them got divorced, and then some of them were calling themselves lifelong bachelors. But really, to be honest, there was nobody that was going to accept the proposal. I know that sounds hard, but for them to win, even the brother that was over it, who was supposed to be teaching the information technology, he was morbidly obese. He could barely walk from table to table to show people how, and you're not going to get a size 6 like that. And if you do, it's going to be primarily for the money. And if you can accept that, and if you're not going to complain about spend, because these women are going to spend that money. If you're going to, even if you go overseas, they want a lifestyle, and so the brothers that are complaining like that consistently, and the brothers, because I have no idea. I start work at 7 and usually finish up at 7 p.m. I don't have time to be, because you know how we organize this a week in advance. We
Right.
made totally, we had kind of got some time. I don't have time to be on no, and I have responsibilities to my family. I don't
Yeah.
have time to be on no different live streams on that. Now that'll come across on my thing, but on my smartphone. But I don't have time for that. I have obligations, and I have responsibilities to my church as well. So all of these people, and I would call them the leftover men. They're bitter
I
about their
like
life.
that.
Life did not come out right for them, and I got compassion for them.
Hold
You
on.
know what I'm
That's the
saying?
4-day
But like I
leftovers
said,
too.
you're
The
not going to
leftovers
trash
nobody
our
want.
sisters. You're not going to disrespect our women. You're not
Mm.
going to nag them down and tell them that they're worthless because you have not made something of your life. And that's what we're standing up for our sisters about.
Wow. I love what Patrice Garner said. She said, no, did he just give us the 411 on the Black Manosphere in real time? Yes,
Yes.
he did.
Yes.
Yes, he did. Y'all, if y'all want to call in today, we're going to do a call in. So the number is scrolling at the bottom. It should work properly. Just give us a call and we'll dial you in. And, have you have any questions for Ray? You have any questions for us, or any comments, let us know. So why, so we all went through the slave.
You keep going out, Tish. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Sorry. Why we all had our difficulties, from we started both at ground zero. Black women didn't have it any harder than black men. Black men didn't have it any harder than black women. So why was it? I mean, I know everything is harder for the men because I understand with marriage, it was a point where the government was trying to push marriage because they was trying to alleviate the load of single black women in society. So there was a government push, even up to Obama. Even with Trump, actually, there was a push for marriage. But back in the days, it was difficult. Like in the 1800s, 1900s, it was difficult for black men because they had to be the head of the household, but still they were out in society and still considered a boy. They
Mhm.
were considered men, but then
You're gone
you
again.
have to, you got
You're
to,
gone.
I see.
Well, I'll try to answer based on
Okay.
where I think you're coming from on that. Men are a threat to other men. So what you want to do if you have any threat is to neutralize that threat by not investing in those men. But what happened when we were more segregated, we were out of the way. We did our work, we lived in our own communities, and we were able to do a lot of things. But right now we have an open society, it's desegregated, and it's highly competitive. And our women cannot go, they're not there, they don't have the body type where they're going to jump on roofs. They're not going to be building office buildings. They're not going to be pouring concrete. They're not going to be welders, because they don't have the body type and stamina for that. So they're going to go to things in school. They're going to do things where they're going to use their mind, their brain. And the new economy is more adept for that. So you can decide to be a pharmacist and become a doctor of pharmacy and have a good life. But if we have a brother that's going to, quote, be a street pharmacist, it's going to be a short-lived opportunity. He's more than likely going to get jailed, but it's also likely that he would get killed. So the thing is, the men can be a threat, but if we'll look at it, we need more examples of men like the brothers like our brother Lloyd Austin, who is a 4-star general, and he's our Secretary of Defense who went to West Point. We need to be focused more on telling our boys to see what he did. And we can send them to places like Alabama A&M, Jackson State, ROTC, to do those types of things. But the attack in any society, but I think that also we have not been feeling that society is changing. When I listen to some of these manosphere guys, they sound like it's still in the 1950s, that you, quote, can't do this. And they're telling these boys not to. There was a brother that had a show, and he had a live stream called F, a College Degree. Okay. Now, this gentleman has 3 sons. He lives in Research Triangle Park, which is in Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Apple is building a $1 billion campus in that area.
Wow.
Wake Tech has programs. This is an open enrollment community college. Programs in artificial intelligence, data mining, cybersecurity, that they can go into. And you don't have to borrow $100,000 to do it. But while they're doing those things, people are going to get those jobs. They're going to buy those nice houses. They're going to live a good life. What it is, will his sons get to do that? Will these Black young men coming under them get to do that? So the rhetoric is coming from people. And by the way, unfortunately, that gentleman who said that did spend some time, in prison, or jail. I don't know if it was prison or jail, but he's had some hard times. But the thing is, they're very loud on YouTube, because I guess they have more time, because people who are living their lives that have a good marriage, good family, good community, they're out there living their lives. And so they don't really have time, but we do need more professionals like Dr. Alicia Watkins, who really is a trained PhD in social work, who really understands the dynamics of family formation, how we need more people like her to be on YouTube to really spread that positive, productive message, because these guys out here complaining, unfortunately, they're hurting, and hurt people. But as men, we cannot allow them to hurt our women, because we need our women to be healthy and productive, and we want our women to be. This is, from what they're saying, this is the only group turning on their women like that. It's not the majority of our men, but these guys get on here and talk about, and they think that other men don't hear that. They think that they're going to go to other countries, and the men from those countries don't know their intentions. Now, if you're going to go to another place and you're going to marry that daughter, uplift her, bring her here, and have a good life with her, most people want that. But if you're going to go to the Dominican Republic and pump and dump, you got the brothers there. The Dominican brothers not going to have that. Now that Kay, the show that she just showed was a sister who is like from Baton Rouge. She is the number one. She's the top 1% realtor in the U.S. Right? And there's a show that comes on called HGTV, House Hunters. She was on that. and her boyfriend, they're probably married now. It was about a year ago it came on. That's that dynamic. She built this, she was a cheerleader at Southern U. She built one of the top um, real estate,
Real
she's a
estate
top,
firms.
yeah. And she was buying a $1.2 million home for her and her boyfriend. She's just top. And so what he does is say, well, look, why would he try to nag her down? He showed that, hey, look, this is her. When she walks into a room, everybody knows her, but she's happy with him. If you get to see that show, you'll see how she's smiling from ear to ear.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when you are successful, having someone to share that with. So why would he tear her down and tell her that, you top 1% in real estate, so what? But that's what some of these bitter men are doing because they
Right.
can't get their lives. Well, they can get their lives together, but they're
They're choosing not
refusing
to.
to do the work that they need to do.
It's easier to bring her down to make her feel like less so he can feel like more.
That's true. That's true. And so, and I think when soon as Tish comes back through, she may bring that back up. But you can see that there's a sister that me and Tish talked about where she was the executive vice president for global manufacturing from GM. Her name is Alicia. You remember the thumbnail that Tish put together? Her name is Alicia Bowler Davis. Now she's with
Oh,
Amazon, but she was the second highest ranking woman at General Motors Corporation. She has a Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering from Northwestern, a Master of Science in Chemical Engineering from Rensselaer Polytechnic, and an MBA from Indiana University.
what's her name
And
again?
her name is Alicia Bowler Davis, Boler hyphen Davis. If you Google her, she'll come up. She's on that thumbnail. But when her brother meets, she's been married over 20 years. Her husband is a sales rep. When you meet someone that dynamic, who's that intelligent, how can you not let them shine? You feel what I'm coming from? She would not, and she said this in interviews, she would have not been able to do the type of hours she did. And they have sons together. They have two sons together who want, who doing well in school. Um, she would not be able to move up, and they've relocated. She was like over one major manufacturing plant in Arlington. She moved around, and she was like she was executive vice president at General Motors. Now she is executive vice president at Amazon. But she said that she would not have been able to do that if she didn't have a husband who worked with her, he
Mm-hmm.
was in sales, so he would be able to do things, but the type of hours that she had, their sons were in private schools, so he would drop them off, pick them up. She would get off and go to the football games for her son, the basketball games for the other son. But she was able to do those types of things because she had a husband that worked with him. If he was going to
Right.
say, I'm running everything, I know you want to do this, that, and the third at GM, but and look how they're living now.
Teamwork makes the
Look,
dream work.
that's true. And these brothers got to get this. And so the brothers that are complaining are hurting. And someone said in the thing, it was in real time this last weekend. And I have compassion for those brothers. I'm not indignant or indifferent toward them, but when it's on the YouTube, when they came together, and that audience, those were some brothers that looked like they had been hurting a long time, that they really need. This is gonna sound. They need hugs. They need somebody that really cares for them, because they looked a mess. They looked an absolute mess, and those are the ones that have been complaining, trashing out these women really, really bad for several years. And in my view, you cannot be seeing those types of things and love women. You know what I mean? So I think that they
Right.
got some issues that they got to deal with, because you're not going to talk about badly about women for no 5 years and say you really love women. You're not going to feel this way about people and say that you love women. And so we have to
That's
address
absolutely
that, but
right.
that's something that we have to do as men. And the women, we have to help those men. And the women have to be somewhat cautious about, and hopefully we'll talk about that now, for professional, educated women, how you're going to have to be cautious, especially with the type of men that you let into your life, the type of environments that you're in, and because you have to be strategic. You have to really, this is going to sound, you have to limit the type of people that have access to you. This sounds
Well,
hard.
yeah,
Yeah. You can't
it's the
just
truth
be
though.
everywhere all the time and somebody say, what up, baby girl? How you doing? Mm-mm. Now you're going to be cordial and you're going to be friendly, but really once you get to a certain socioeconomic status, and it is elitist because people, when they move up, they move into nicer neighborhoods. They have better communities. So they're not trying to deal with somebody. You can have compassion, but a brother that does not respect what Tish did with her life is not someone
Hmm.
that could really be with Tish.
Yeah, he doesn't fit in her life at all because there's no place for him if he can't respect her accomplishments and all of who she is.
And to be honest, he's dating out of his lane. We used to say we're dating out of his league. He's dating. Look, if you and like if the brother and if you have a high school diploma and you're happy with what you've done and you just have a general job, maybe you're working, and nothing wrong with working as a delivery person for Amazon, whatever. That's nice. You might make it, but you're really not the type of person on. This is gonna sound hard. You're not on Tish's level. The things that Tish has to study, the people that she has to interact with, even socially. Now, people have tried to do that, and it's harder. Did you remember about this a few years ago? Kay, there was a sister that graduated from Harvard, and she's from Detroit, um, Harvard Law, and the guy had a crush on her. He was a blue collar brother. He did remodeling and things like that.
Hmm.
Married her, because she was a little bit. She said she was a little bit chunky, but a nice woman, and so she's like a corporate legal counsel, Harvard. They had a really hard time. They had a couple of kids had a really hard time because for whatever reason he was questioning. She graduated from Harvard Law School, okay, and she
Hmm.
graduated with the honors, highest honors from the University of Michigan as well, undergrad. But he questioned, and he had, and nothing wrong with high school diploma, but he's questioning her credentials in Harvard, and she passed New York bar exam. She was one of the top legal counsels in the U.S.
Hmm.
She went to law school with Barack Obama. Okay,
Okay.
so you have to be careful with these guys, and they've broken up since then. But if a guy is saying those things, one thing our Queen Mother
Well,
Maya
I didn't
Angelou
get.
has said.
Hold
Go
on.
ahead, Kay.
From what you were saying, I was trying to get to you were talking about her accomplishments, but what was wrong with the relationship?
He was a blue collar brother who was trying to. It just never worked out because he would embarrass her purposely. As a matter of fact, before she made partner at a major law firm. And
Hmm.
so he would go to functions and say stupid things and embarrass her. Um, they got into a lot of arguments because at one he used to do construction work, then he wanted to become a counselor, drug counselor. So he got through that. But it just like there was just when you go through certain steps of life, you're becoming a different person. When she went to the University of Michigan and did that thing, when she went to Harvard Law and that environment, you're becoming a different person, maybe from the same person that stayed in Detroit, finished high school, all his friends were saying. And really, women have to be careful of trying to bring a man into that environment who can't handle it. You know what I mean? But you've been
Right. I mean,
socialized to
you
your
definitely have to vet them.
yeah,
You
yeah.
definitely have to vet them because everybody can't handle it. But I don't think it's necessarily something wrong per se if someone with a degree is with someone, a woman with a degree marries a man that doesn't have a degree per se,
Hmm.
as long as they respect each other and the lane that each of them are in professionally and education wise. It can work. There just
I
has
agree.
to be an acceptance of the dynamics.
I agree with you. And it does, and it worked in previous generations. I don't know how the millennial women, black women, are going to look at that today.
Hmm.
But it has worked and it can work. But like you said, the person has to respect what she's done. He has to want to be, and also, if you're in a situation like that and you didn't, I'm wondering why you don't go ahead and get that education. because when you have children, it's going to be a big issue. Because if she went to private school or got this, or she's in a setting where all of the partners or children are going to a private school and they're really advancing, that might be an argument with them. You feel where I'm coming from? And so
Yeah.
you have to really be compatible. And people tend to marry people on their socioeconomic status, educational level, etc., except for educated Black women. Now, you know, and we've been blessed that they have. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, the Indian woman, they are not per se, whatever Asian group, they're Indian, if they're Chinese, whatever. If you're not on their same level as far as if you're running a business, you got an MBA, because her parents will not allow it. So you know there can be blue collar, white collar marriages as long as the person has done it. But I would see it if the person were like a very, like there's a couple that they wrote about in DC in that same book. He's an electrician, but he owns his own company. And his wife is a PhD, she's a professional. So he did complete his degree at an HBCU. He became an electrician, and then he started hiring, and he gets all these nice contracts. So they're living in Prince George's County. And so Black men have been the labor force for a long time, for construction, for those types of trades and things like that. So when you're competing with other men, the people that have the most resources don't really want to share that until laws were changed. But it's also harder because the academic environment needs to accommodate the higher motor skills of boys. So boys have a hard time just sitting down for long periods of time, absorbing information. If you have short periods of time on this, where you can go over things, and also we need to have a better socialization of about academic excellence. Because right now, and I still advocate it's good for guys to be in sports, but we have a lot of guys who think that they might be the 2% that can become a professional athlete when they have a better chance of becoming an engineer. They have a better chance of becoming a systems analyst and living a good life. So we have, but it's harder because the competition is among men, and the people that have resources tend to not want to share it with people outside of their group. So the men that have the least resources have to type of build up resources within. And we haven't done that as well as we need to do. Now, previous generations seems like they did, but they didn't really. That's why maybe the civil rights generation did it, maybe because they were segregated and they were able to flourish under that. But now we have a desegregated society, and we need to really put resources together to help our boys become really highly productive men. Did that kind of address some things? Like, tell me, Kay, what's
no? Well, when she actually asked that question, when Adrian asked that question, Tish had made a comment in reference to, you know, men having it harder, and she was referring to the 1800s and the 1900s, and yeah, I had the same question as to how did she come to the conclusion that men had it harder. And her next statement was about, you know, when men walk out of their house, you know, back in that time frame, they were now boys. And I'm like, and Black women weren't called girls? Because I still to this day, even though I didn't live in that time, I have a problem when a white person calls me girl. Like I buck up at it. Like, you just called me the N word. I find it highly offensive. Do not call me girl. I'm a grown ass woman. However, if a Black woman called me girl, I wouldn't think twice about it. So I still see girl as a racial slur. So I'm trying to figure out at what point did it become harder for men than it is for women? But the way Tish was referring to it, she was referring to back then, not necessarily right now. At least that's how I took it. And I don't know if that's how Adrian took it, but I'm really trying to understand the difference as to how she felt that it was. Did you leave your other?
Hopefully she'll address that as she comes back. Adrian did ask another question. Is it hard for all boys or just Black boys? There's a gentleman named Will Ferrell who wrote a book called The Boy Crisis. So this is coming across all racial groups, but it does impact us more adversely because less resources have been used for Black boys because we have less economic and political resource and power. So that's why. And
Over
mhm,
black women?
not over
Black
black
boys have
women.
less? Okay.
Um, well, I'm talking about in the general society. So women tend to, like, women are going to go into the academics because that kind of works for them. That's been the case all along. Men want to go into a variety of things. We used to, if a brother wants to be a carpenter or a construction person, they can usually do that and become a firm. They can go, they used to have union, they still do have some union traineeships for that. And so they can do those and build a career. But the fundamental skills have to be there. So what we want to do is make sure, but it's affecting other people as well. And I'm not blaming our women on that. It's the general society not investing in our people. And we got to get more political power that says invest in the education of our boys. There's a sister who's out of Baton Rouge. Her name is, she's the mayor of Baton Rouge. She started a chapter of Our Brother's Keeper to address the needs of Black boys in Baton Rouge to help them be productive academically, workforce ready, career ready, and things of that nature. So those are some of the informal, non-governmental things. But as far as what the government can do is have massive training programs that boys can immediately get into to get their skills in computers, to get their skills in the trades, and immediately get an income to stabilize themselves. And so the
Okay.
guys that can do that, they will probably be open to marrying the women who would be in their lane. You feel what I'm saying? Now we need to get more of our men in colleges, completing these professional schools and programs, so that women like Tish and or women that just want to have those type of men in their lives, they would have a larger selection of men, because if they're not there, you don't have them there. You feel where I'm coming from? You
Oh,
don't have them
absolutely.
to choose from. And so we do need to increase the number of Black men in college, even though we do have a good amount, and we need to help them find ways to help them graduate, have them in STEM and competitive majors, and also have them socialize for marriage and family. If we're through the various media socializing boys to do the pump and dump culture, whatever they do, that's not good. But if we socialize them, hey man, you're getting your skills to get together because at some point you want to get married, have your family, you need your financial resources intact to do this. This is what fathers, uncles used to do way back. But since there's so few men in the life of a lot of these boys now, based on a variety of reasons, they don't get that type of guidance and that type of mentoring that they need.
Okay. So, do you have like a list of books that you would suggest?
As far as that, The Boy Crisis is by Will Ferrell. Now
Okay.
he's a Caucasian. He is a PhD, but he talks about it across all boys on that. And let me see who's there's a brother who wrote the book Crisis in the Village. He's the former president of Morehouse College.
You
His
said
name is
Crisis
Robert.
in the Village.
Crisis in the Village. He talks about African American um, families in transition.
And
His
what's
name
his
is
name?
Robert Franklin. He's the former president of Morehouse College.
Franklin. Okay.
Mhm. So those were
All
some
right.
that I know right offhand. And I know some of I'd have to research that further to find some of the books that are doing that. But anything really on mentoring, yeah, so that we can help them. Yeah, because people are concerned about that. But like you were saying, Kay, and what Tish is saying, that the guys from the Black manosphere, in my view, they're just hurting. But you're not the therapist for them to help them overcome their hurt. We'll have to provide the resources to let them know that what they're hurting from, you're not going to get that resolved by attacking Black women. You actually will get that resolved by getting yourself together so that you can provide for the women that you really want. And so that Manosphere meetup showed that those guys want to do those things, but they need correct guidance, because the people in a lot of those circles, they're saying that they have some answers, but their lives are not anywhere where they need to be. And I don't say that to be mean spirited or critical. It's just the fact of
It
the
is what
matter.
it is.
You cannot lead people when your life is completely out of order. You need to give us a better example of how are your children doing? Cause your
Well, you
son.
know
You
what?
don't have to be
I
perfect.
honestly,
Hmm.
I honestly believe that a lot of these guys preaching this whole manosphere type theory, they don't believe most of what they're saying. They've just
True.
found a niche where they can make some money and they don't have to punch a clock anymore. So, and they've got a strong following. So there's no need for them to say anything different because they're saying exactly what these guys want to hear. Even if
Hmm.
you look at Kevin Samuels, when Kevin Samuels first started doing videos, he was telling men how to get their lives together.
Hmm. True.
Now he's cussing women out and telling them they're not shit and they're never gonna be shit and nobody wants them after 35. So so you
25.
know 25 because that's how he makes his money. So he's going to continue to say that even if he doesn't believe it per se. And
Hmm.
even if there's a grain of truth of what he says it in such a negative way. It's hard to
Right.
hold on to the truth of some of the stuff that he's saying because it's so degrading at the same time,
Hmm.
you
I
know.
hear
But
you. I hear you.
But men love
uh,
it though. They really, and women love it too.
Hmm.
they love it because it's what they want to hear. They want the
Hmm.
men, they want someone to tear these women down. So again, by making her feel smaller, he can feel bigger. And now it doesn't matter that he's 50 pounds overweight and making 15, 11, $13 an hour. uh, None of that matters anymore because he's the commodity, regardless
Hmm.
of what he brings to the table financially, physically, emotionally, or anything else. And he should be able to treat her like crap no matter how intelligent she is, no matter what her achievements are. Let me dog her out because that'll make her feel like less so I can be the bigger man.
But
Right.
that can only go so far. I mean, just like the Manosphere meetup show, I mean, and they got on their cases. I mean, you're going to have to face reality. If you're not putting your skill sets together to take care of yourself as a man and in this society moving as well, you're not gonna. I mean, yeah, you can complain, you can, and I think one of the brothers did do a show where the guys said that he did a poll where the guys said they really call in or they contribute after he really bashes a woman. If he kind of gets
Yep.
her into a thing, the donations go up. The
Wow.
yeah that he got after the woman became to quote the average at best. That's when he blew up. And
Yeah.
so a lot of times there, and I hear where you're coming from, but we got to do that. That it is what it is. However, if we're going to help men, we need to really help them with the tools that will advance them. And a lot of brothers are also going to need some therapy because once again, if you can look online, that Manosphere meetup, those brothers look really, really, really bad. They look like they need some serious counseling. They sounded like they needed some
And a
serious
hug.
counseling. Some of them even sounded depressed.
They need a cuddlist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They sounded depressed. They sounded they were so hopeful, and then from what they're saying, the guy was not able to deliver. So if the person who was over the thing couldn't even deliver what he was saying, and he was morbidly obese, and I mean the brother had a hard time just walking from table to table.
I wonder who he was.
Who he was, I don't know his real name, but if you Google Manosphere Meetup, you'll see it. It's on YouTube now. The brother, I think his name is Theo, and he put together an IT. It was
Mm.
like a 1 day IT academy to get people interested in learning IT because he's allegedly an IT guru. But if you're making all this money, and people put that in the comments that he needs to get him a nutritionist and a trainer so he can get himself to a good health status in the next year because he doesn't want to be morbidly obese like that, even with the type of money he's alleging that he's making. So, you know,
Alleging.
yeah. Well,
so
yeah.
back, I love what you said before I had all my extra troubles. I had to change my phone. I
Okay.
love how you said how the men want to go to these not underdeveloped, but like Dominican Republic and these places to find them a woman that will be submissive and do the things that the women here won't do. But like you said, their men are not going to allow men to come to their country, snatch up their women, and then treat them any kind of way. Like, so what are they, and I hate to backtrack so far, but what are these men looking for? I mean, do men really feel like we don't want to get along and we want a family unit and we want to be, submit and have a healthy life with them? I mean, what are they thinking that they have to go to another country?
In my view, they have false premises about what the problem is. They're
Okay.
thinking that the problem is primarily women, but their underperformance financially and economically and politically as men is also problematic, because if they don't want to bring the woman back. What they want to do is work remote over there and kind of have a high income there, but not really do that.
Oh.
But very few of them are going to do that, because less than 5% of black men have a passport. So that's not even. I think it is a form of YouTube therapy for a lot of these guys. Bad therapy, but YouTube. They're angry. They're losing at life. I mean, cases. Some of those guys, you might have said, some of those guys would look like they were in their 60s. They definitely were in their 50s. They were overweight. Most of them were not very tall men, and that's an issue that they have a lot.
Mhm.
It was just a mess, and the type of angry rhetoric that they've been spewing. And one of the guys that had been spewing it the most, he looked like he was bald. He looked like he was all of 5'5", and he's been spewing all type of angry rhetoric, and it's not, you're not going to win. And then it's an embarrassing look for us to have men on that. But the only good thing is that it's very few men that want to be a part of that.
Right.
They're basically highly incompetent, so they won't really do too much. So hopefully they'll blow over, because it was a bad look. So what I would say for women, that you're going to have to be very cautious in the type of men that you allow in your life.
Right.
I don't think that random dating is the way to do things. I really think that our women, especially our professional women, you're going to have to go to matchmakers to bring the type of, and we're going to have to do
with a paid membership
psychotherapy test. They're going to have to look backgrounds, because it's just too much mess out there. And that's what Rebecca Lynn Pope used to do, and they'll probably still do things for you. But you've invested too much in your life to let some random hurt guy who is angry at the world, who will take out anybody. But definitely, if a woman who he doesn't have very high regard for, a lot of these guys, in my view, they only value women for sex. And outside of that, I believe that they hate women. I'll really be honest, because you're not going to say the type of things about women that they have said and convince me that you love women.
Right. That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed, I know I said some things on the lead channel, the lead attorney channel and stuff like that. And the men in the comments, on other channels and stuff, they were so hateful. And I'm like, why are y'all so angry? Goodness grief. I can see if they were my exes saying this kind of stuff, but but they okay. So why are y'all so angry? And I noticed when I interacted with them on the comments, they actually softened up. I said, oh, y'all just want some attention. Okay. But before they were saying stuff like, I want to, Ray Caruth you, meaning they wanted to murder me. And it was crazy, all for just me having a good time, living my best life, just saying some funny stuff, And that's how I deal with the things I'm not comfortable with. I'd make it into a comedy. But if I'm fine with it, if none of my people I've dealt with are commenting, why are you saying you want to Ray Caruth me? So I saw then that it was a really big gap when it came to mental health. It's like the mental health is not there at all for you to feel so vicious and so angry at someone you never met in your life, that someone you would never meet in your life, and who is I think had a pretty good attitude. It was just too much for me. Just way too much.
And it can't be a very smart person when they could be investigated by the FBI through their IP address for saying a comment like that. that they
Right. There was a
haven't
bunch.
been
There was a
done.
ton of them too. That was the
Really,
weird
yeah.
thing.
They
Yeah, it was
could
a
be
lot of them.
investigated. Yeah, that's making terroristic threats. And if they really wanted to go after people, they could. But that's what I'm saying is that the brothers who have good sense, the brothers who are intelligent and resourceful, have to come out and at least make some commentary on that, because these guys, as Kay said, they've gotten a couple of truths in there, but it's a lot of dogma that has nothing to do. I mean, some of them think that they're studying evolutionary psychology. They're not. They may reference a book. They might think they understand alpha. That's why when we talk about alpha female, and we defined alpha female as a woman who's a leader. She's in a leadership position, or she's a professional woman or career. We're not talking about the rough animal kingdom like a lioness or all that.
Right. We talking
But
about real humans. Yes.
mhm. But to get back, most of these brothers are not alpha males, and they will not
Right.
be.
So what is an
So,
alpha male? Okay, so alpha female is what you just said. So okay, this is what I love though, and I want to see if y'all agree or not. I think Beyonce and Jay-Z are the perfect dynamic of the alpha male, alpha female. But I
Oh yes.
noticed, yes, I mean, and what I even though Jay-Z is definitely not my type, he's definitely whatever. But what I admire by Jay-Z so much is he loves for his wife to shine. I never saw him compete with her. What he did was, Ray,
mhm,
he raised his bar. He was like,
mhm,
listen, I have this woman that can be a billionaire tomorrow if she wanted to, but she probably is now, definitely. But he was like, I'm not going to challenge her and compete with her. He said, I'm going to compete with myself, and I'm
mhm,
going to raise the bar and make it where she's comfortable and relaxed. Now, she wants to be a mommy at home like all of us women really want to do at the end of the day.
mhm,
She is a mommy at
mhm.
home with her twins. She does things here and there, but she is so I just love that dynamic. What do y'all think? And like you said in the book that you read, a lot of times is a failure when you get an alpha male and an alpha female. But like, how do you think Beyonce and Jay-Z fit into that?
Well, evidently, Beyonce decided to give up the alpha persona when she got married, because you can't compete, because alpha means that both of you are going to be leaders, and you only can
Oh,
have one leader in the home. But
okay.
even the alpha female, because women have to birth children, and then that puts you in a vulnerable state, so you have to have someone. For my view on alpha women is that you have these highly accomplished, high income women who are actually in what would have been a traditional male role, and then you have a lot of men not getting in those roles again, not going to school, not being productive in the economy. So it will usually be, and I use the term shine because it's not a competition in the home. And if you have this, like you said, like Candy Burris, who this is just tops in her field, why would you try to compete with her? You've got to let her shine, and she'll develop. You can develop the business together like they're doing outside of that, but no sense in trying
Right.
to compete with each other in music. And I think Yvonne, I think that didn't he produce some of her things, and now
Right.
he's just enjoying the benefits of that. So he would be the alpha, and then the role of the woman to become a wife is a little bit different. Now they're really really wealthy, but when I talk about upper middle class people that kind of work for a living, it's a little bit
Mhm.
different. Say for instance,
Okay.
Right.
if you like for yourself, you're a professional woman, very high income woman. If you were to marry someone, his income you would be combined, and y'all are negotiating, but nobody would quote really be dominating anybody. So you would be
Okay.
negotiating, but you are an alpha woman in your career role. But in the home, you may decide that, hey, now that's not how I roll with my husband, because my wife is a professional woman and I'm the leader of the home. I'm the spiritual leader of the home as well. But the
Right.
point of the matter is that she's always respected me, but I've known her a long time. She's always had a positive opinion of me. And it,
That's
it
great.
doesn't hurt that I'm 6'3" and she's 5'5". So, I'm a tall guy, but I mean, it doesn't hurt, but she's always,
That doesn't hurt.
physically looked up to me. But her
It's so
parents
hard to,
always liked
I'm
me.
sorry, it may
Uh-huh,
sound funny, but I find it hard to look up to a short man. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not shading short people. I'm just,
uh-huh.
I
Jay,
mean,
you so
I'm a tall
bad. You are
woman too.
so naughty.
I,
You are
I
so
know.
naughty.
I
Yeah.
know, but I'm a tall woman, so I
Right. Yes,
am
you
gonna be a
are.
tall man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I never been into height like that.
Mm-hmm.
height matters. I don't care what anybody says.
Okay. Okay. And like, and those are issues that maybe guys like me have not, because I didn't really notice that until, they really talked about it. But it's got to be something that people. But I would imagine that if you're a certain height, you would want to deal with women that are at least a little bit not that height, but maybe they're, it's issues because women like to wear heels and things of that nature. But certainly just attacking women, saying women are work. They even say women are like children. You see that in the comment section that women are like, you're not you're not like you're not thinking like a child when you can get a doctor of pharmacy degree. You got to have some high level when you operate at that level. So they're the ones that are not operating at a high level. Those guys had a hard time signing into Amazon Web Services. How you telling me you some type of IT guru and you a basic signing y'all couldn't do? And the guy who had it, there were no PowerPoint demonstrations in that. I would have expected that. It was just barely. It looked like they got. It was just bare. I mean, they probably could have done it at a smaller hotel, where they could have probably saved a lot of money. But I guess they did want to. But it was just like they could have done that better on Zoom than to waste all that money going down there because it just looked like it wasn't worked out. And then they had other comments like the guy felt he lost a lot of money doing it. So there's some hurt out there. And I do want our women to understand that you're not responsible for the hurt. These guys who are trying to use all these pseudo theories about evolutionary psychology, or they're misrepresenting those theories.
Hmm.
Those guys who even the alpha male that's in really primitive animal kin. There was some maybe apes that they studied on that. We have
Mm.
higher levels of intelligence, and they don't want a primitive society where everybody just shoots each other down. They would not survive. They're having problems making it in an advanced civil society. You want to get a primitive society where it's winner take all? They don't want that. It would not benefit them. So what we want to do is, just get some things, encourage our women, protect our women, and stand up for our people, and also do what we can to develop these boys. But I do want women to recognize the guys that are saying this are not men of any significance. And I don't say that to hurt their feelings, but they're not men who are making any moves. None of them are governors of a state. None of them even mayors. They're not trying to run. They're apolitical. So they don't want to change and improve the political, even though they're complaining about child support. They're not building any major businesses. As a matter of fact, our women are building businesses faster than them. And now you got Goldman Sachs investing 10 billion to help develop 1 million black female businesses. The things are changing, and what these brothers need to do is um, get on the winner's train. Get your education together at whatever age you are at. Get your financial resources. And the thing is, marriage benefits men more than it does women. They like to tout this stat that comes out. There was a research report that was done by the Institute of Family Studies. It was called Black
Uh-huh.
Men Making It in America. And you listen to these guys that say 60%, it's actually 57, but we'll go and give rounding up to 60% of black men in the middle class. Okay. But who pushes them up into that? Only 20% of single men, never married men, are in the middle class. 70% of married men.
That's interesting.
Only 44% of divorced men. This is black men, specific to black men. So the point
Hmm.
of the matter is they take information like that and misuse it, and they can't interpret it because they just really, and then we don't have these academics coming in to correct them. So they're on the internet or YouTube, spewing nonsense, inaccurate facts, and they've hurt a lot of people. There's a sister that's on. She used to listen to Tommy when she used to listen to Tommy Sotomayor when she was 15, and she said that just hurt her feelings. And she's 25 now, so I didn't know it was on a decade. She has a Master of Science in nursing. She's a nurse practitioner. So she didn't got her game together. She does not date black men. Maybe not totally because of Tommy Sotomayor, but that hurt her because they talked about, quote, 4C hair. They want to have exoticals, et cetera, et cetera. But that hurt her to her core. She's a very attractive woman. And for her to give up on her own men because of stupidity, and that will impact these women because because she's as a nurse practitioner, her money's going to be right. She's going to enhance somebody. Look at, and also like you, Tish, your quality of life and your health will be better because of her knowledge and your knowledge. So you're going to say a woman with a master's degree in nursing, oh, that don't mean nothing when she can keep you healthy and well. And on average, married men are healthier and wealthier than never married and divorced men. So they're getting it wrong. Mm-hmm. And so at some point, they may get it together, but I just, and I'm glad to hear other brothers coming on YouTube. All this gibberish and all this nonsense, all this bashing black women is not going to be just done without responsible men coming together to say that that's not true, that you have not done these things. These people can't even read history correctly. They're blaming women for allegedly collaborating with white men who enslaved black people. Although, and the woman who wrote the book, the professor at Indiana University that wrote the book, said that's not what she said in that book called Daughters of the Trade. So these guys got some issues, and it's not your responsibility to correct them. But I do want our women, especially our professional women, to be very aware of when they hear men say mean-spirited things, when they nag them, be aware of that. And just cross out that that's not a person that you want to be associated with. And if they feel that way, then find you a woman with a high school diploma or less, and you deal with her. Because it's a power move, because they, in my view, are intimidated by a woman who is highly intelligent, who makes a lot of money, because they can't control her, and also because they're failing. If these guys were making the kind of money and I wish they were making them I wish they were making six figures. But everybody on YouTube makes six figures with their business, which they pronounce business, and they are doing all these great, grand, and dynamic things. But the numbers are not showing that based on the data, even from Black demographics. So I'm not glad that we've gotten to talk about this, because we do need to have more men stand up for our women. And these guys who are out there, there's a brother that is exposing them. He is a PhD candidate at Indiana. It's called Expose the Manosphere and Expose the Black Man. He's written articles in mainstream media about them, how it's almost like a cult where they're blaming Black women for all of their problems. I think his name is Aaron Fontaine, and it's called Expose the Manosphere on YouTube. And he goes on, he wrote for Medium about how these things, and it like when that young lady got on there and said she was hurt by what Tommy Sotomayor, because I think those guys, like you said, Kay, they just do that to make money and fun. But he hurt that woman to her core. And she's an attractive woman, and she would add tremendous value to anybody's life, but somebody else will benefit from her whole person. So, and like when you see that Manosphere meet up and you see those guys, it's a sad look, a bad look. So that's how that goes. Was there something that you were going to say as well, Kay? I'm trying to look on the notes.
No, Tish was trying to say something, but I think she's having mic issues again.
We're going to help.
Oh, can y'all hear me?
Good God.
Because they've been working with you tonight, Chris. But I'm glad
I
we're still
know.
working through it, though. We're still working.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Bring it down.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. When
a little bit more. Hold on. A little bit more.
Okay. Better now?
Okay. Keep going.
Okay. Whenever we talk about crazy stuff, my stuff is so good. But when we got that good, rich conversation, that's when my computer want to act up. But I wanted to talk about the like you said, the health aspect of it. Do you not know how many single men that come to me or text me about them being sick?
Wow.
They don't want a woman, They want to play around or do this and do that, but they want to have women like me in their pocket, so they can have that good health expert advice. I
Mhm.
just had a man recently, he's so sick from his vaccine, and I haven't talked to him in like years,
Mhm.
literally years. But he pops up, on Facebook Messenger, wanting to know how he can feel better about his vaccine and should he be concerned. And that's one thing that men don't appreciate, even if you're not in the medical field, like you said, men live so much longer when you have a partner there that can absorb, the anxieties of the world, or be the one that push
Mm-hmm.
you to get better when you're not feeling well. I know, Kay, you
Mhm.
said before, like, something was going on with your husband, and you were the one that pushed him to finally go and see the doctor. Now, what about if you were just his girlfriend and, someone who you don't
Or
pay
just
any
a
never.
side piece.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. It literally he it was a situation where he kind of had an idea of what was going on. He had been to the doctor, but when he would come back and talk to me, he couldn't really tell me what the doctor said. He was, all over the place, and I couldn't grasp what was going on. I said, "Okay, we're going together." And then what I heard was
wow.
like, "Dude, what do you mean you're not going to do it?" It was crazy. So yeah, it was one of those
Hmm.
situations where if I wasn't involved hands on, it definitely could have gone really, really bad, really, really fast.
And Kay, that's
Right.
precisely why married men live longer, because the wife will do something like that. And also, married men earn higher incomes than single men
Tish.
because the wife is like a resource that can give you ideas, that can help you, and also perspective. Companies, organizations, they view married men as more responsible than single men. If you
Right.
run,
Mm-hmm.
talk about you running through all these babes, and you can look at that in promotions. Married men tend to get promoted faster, higher, and look at the
Yes.
CEOs. You don't see single flamboyant playboy. It may be every now and then that maybe the person over playboy might be, but you're not going to be running GM. You're not going to be running these major places if you are a single flamboyant guy. And we need to kind of look at that. But it will. That's what I'm saying. It will help them. But the point is, our women deserve that our men, first of all, treat them with respect, respect what they have going on in their lives, and want to be a positive part of their lives. This is not going to go back to the 50s. Women are not property from centuries ago. You can't, quote, tell somebody what to do. And these guys are just, in my view, they're just hurting. They're hurting
Right.
deep, but you're not a therapist to help them. We got people that really are therapists that could help them if they'll seek it out. But I
Right.
want our women to protect
Good luck
themselves.
on
I want
that.
them to associate with men who respect them and protect them, and be in environments where you're safe. These guys are not reading the tea leaves. Housing costs have gone up, resources, you got more people coming into the country. The people best positioned to succeed in an information and a high skill society are women who are well educated and also in, quote, recession proof professions. Nursing has always had a short. Most of the healthcare fields always working. And one of the
Right.
other profession proof is social work. And a lot of these brothers, as they age, that we need more black social workers, black male social workers. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
need people who can understand what they're going through. And brothers are not being encouraged to go into that. So I encourage you to continue doing what you're doing. Seek out men. Make sure that you associate with men who respect what you're doing. And these guys on the internet, they might be complaining, but I want y'all to go and look at that meetup and to find that those guys, they got more problems than to try to learn how to sign on or log on to Amazon Web Services. They need to get their lives in order because they really look real bad. They look so bad, Tish, that I was
Wow.
sad to see it, and they got dogged out. Yeah, a lot of people did videos on them. They got dogged out so bad that it's kind of. I mean, they should have not. And the thing is, it was somebody that was in the audience that filmed it all. So I thought that the way they did it in person, the guy who was doing, he didn't want to be filmed because he works in corporate America, and he was showing them allegedly how to jump, into IT. And the point is that there are a lot of resources that I don't know why they feel these people are gurus. You can go to your community college, you can go to your state workforce commission, take tests, and they will direct you to where you need to learn, where your skills, personality, how you can find something in information technology or whatever field. But these guys on the internet are just telling them to take their courses, and you have no idea what their background. They're just saying, I know this, I got this going on. And the way that, from what I saw, and I only saw that filming, but it did not look that good. If people couldn't log into the system, what are you training them on? Like I said, there were no PowerPoint presentations. I mean, you would have.
And was this a one day or two thing?
How were they just standing there talking?
The tech side was one day. They had like talking about so-called issues. It was supposed to be a gathering of conservative men, black men, but it was. It just seemed like they were kind of. I wouldn't say they were talking ad lib, but I would have thought if you're going to the Westin Buckhead in Atlanta, which is a pretty expensive hotel, all of those things would have just been a part of it. I expected them to be, because they have smaller rooms where you have whiteboards, where you have all these other things where they could have really done that. And so they could have done that there. They could have had those presentations.
Were there a lot of men?
It looks like it might have been at least 100 people now, and that in different things, but it seemed like they said they had
about what the registration fee was.
Yeah.
I know.
I wonder what they charged.
I wonder what they charged.
How many people were there?
He said at least 100.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, was that a good number for them, or what was that about?
It seemed like it should be. I think it was a good number. I think that I would have done it either at a community college or at a smaller hotel, but I think they wanted to get the image. But the person that taped it really didn't do a good service, because he thought he was showing professional conservative men, and it showed a mess. It showed what a mess. They look pathetic, and I got compassion for these brothers. I want them to do well in life, but you're not winning any awards when you come in over there morbidly obese.
They got too comfortable with Zoom.
Yeah, a large, maybe a third were balding. Some looked like they were in their 60s. You had some gray hair, and that's okay. They need to get them training. But those guys were not. It looks like the rejected group, the people that
the leftovers.
Yeah, the leftovers men, because they need healing. They need healing, and they need prayer. Those of us who are of faith, they need prayer and healing, but they've got to accept it. But they have no right to bash Black women. They have no right to ridicule, devalue the education of our women. They need to get their lives together, and we need to stand up for our women. I'm so glad that you, Tish, allows me to come on and discuss this, because
I appreciate you.
We need to air this, because these people are going. They didn't lost their mind. They didn't even have a mind. This is mess. And like you said, it's affecting young girls. Go ahead, Tish. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, because because the premise of our channel is I still believe in love between a Black man and a Black woman. I truly do. And a lot of Black women, we feel like with there being so much more Black women that are available and ready than Black men, we feel like the numbers aren't there. But I really feel like if we were to, get our mindset primed for marriage, then we can be able to spot out the men and be available to the men who are ready. Because a lot of times, we just, like the last show was on red flags. We let so much things slide, and we end up in scenarios that waste our time. So that's the whole premise of our channel, is to kind of do the cleanup, get our minds right. So when that man is, because there are men out there like you that are single and that are ready. I've seen them, and I know they are available. So it's so good to hear it from a man to give us hope that there are men out there that don't care about what Kevin Samuel say, that, look at him as a god and all of this and all of that, and understand that he's his own man and what he brings to the community. Now I love what you said about I'm not sure if y'all can see me. I'm gonna switch screens for
We
a
can see
minute.
you. We can see you.
You can still see me right now?
No, you just went out.
Okay.
She's
Can you
showing
hear
us her
me?
versatility with this technology. I think that's what
Can
she's
you
saying.
Okay.
can you
Oh, we got
no?
you now, Tish.
Okay, so I
Okay.
wanted to go through the thing. I'm trying to see something real quick. House.
Now you
Okay.
can't hear you.
It was a
Okay.
is a part of your email with how smart men can be savvy with alpha male women. And so I wanted you to go through that. It's on my other screen, but I can't really catch it
You can
without.
bring it up. Let me see if I can get that up. Cause see what's gonna happen. Okay, I'm gonna find. I'll go over that with you because I was hoping that you would. I'm gonna go to that. Give me just a second. Let me look at that.
Right. Let's see.
Did
A
it come
story to
up?
tell you is so
I'm gonna show you.
funny.
Well, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is go over that real quick. Let me get that real quick. So I'm gonna have to bring.
Right. Yeah.
You can hear me, okay?
Yeah, I can hear you
Let me
just
bring
fine.
that up.
Yes,
It's called.
I'm the only problem here.
I'm looking to see where I sent that. One moment.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, because and sometimes even as an alpha woman, we don't see the benefits. We only see the money, and it's really not about money.
Hmm.
It's all about just like with Candy. Candy would never hardly, be close to getting married if she were to only deal with men that of her, that accomplished financially what she accomplished. But she is, from what I can see, she is genuinely happy with Todd.
Hmm.
Like what else can you ask for someone who can support you? And she wants him to win too. Like, with their old lady gang restaurant, if I'm not mistaken, he's the one that, kind of came up with the idea. And he was the one that really, put that vision into it. And, there were some things that she wasn't really crazy about, but she gave him the space to do what he needed to do to make it to come to pass. And it works out fine. So I love both ends of it, how as an alpha woman, she's not overbearing and she's not using her alpha woman status as a weapon. But at the
Hmm.
end of the day, we want to be happy. None of us want to be. It's not even about wanting to die alone, but we were wired to be with someone else. We aren't wired to be alone, and that is the perfect example of an alpha woman. And I mean, would you consider Todd a beta male? I mean, because it seems like she wants to bear his children. She wants to, give him space to do it, not even give it to him, but she respects his space to do what he needs to do as the husband. I love that dynamic because that's more realistic than trying to get like this man that gonna earn as much as you and have to battle it out and, stuff like that.
I consider him a supportive, emotionally supportive husband. When you get into the beta and alpha male, she's a highly successful woman. So he compliments her. And when we talk about compliment with the E and compliment with an I, so he adds value to her life. And also he expresses his affection, admiration, and respect. So you did want me to go over those points about how smart,
Yes,
savvy men win with high value women. So
exactly.
the research from Dr. Rose is that men that have successful marriages or long term relationships with highly accomplished women tend to exhibit the following traits.
Okay.
One, they are relationship oriented,
Yes,
emotionally available, and aspire to be a good partner.
exactly. And
Sec-
no money makes a man I mean, you could be a billionaire, but if you're not family oriented, if you're not into knowing what's really true value in life, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. To me, that man is a wash. He can be the president of the Black Manosphere, as far as I'm concerned. It's nothing I can do with a man who makes $1 billion, but he cares nothing about family or the foundation and stuff of that nature.
True, true, so true. The second part, they're mellow, collaborative, caring, responsible, and reliable.
Okay.
And if you look at Todd, that's how he is. It's not going to be a clash of personalities. Generally in the industry, you're gonna have one person. If she got a hit, and if she was dating someone in the industry, he'd have to try to get a hit to say, well, you know, I did this, or if you're envious of your wife, kind of like the what's his name, Martell Holt, and the Melody, is her name Melody Holt, out of the Huntsville show, where she is like she's the brains of the business, and he was the brawn. So she was able to pass the Alabama building home builders licensing exam. Okay. So when they were married, they could build homes. So right now, since they're divorced, he has not passed that exam, but her business is moving, and she's also a part of Alpha Kappa Alpha, which is a part of that initiative for that $10 billion. So she's getting ready to blow up. She's getting ready to blow up. But he was not collaborative, and I mean, that was one of the worst moves I've seen. You got a beautiful wife at home, and you got a beautiful home. Did you see that? And you in the South, in Huntsville, you got all that going on, and you're gonna go chase some tail across town and have a baby with her.
I missed that.
That really can't do nothing for you.
Yeah.
You got to start home. So he'll be learning. He'll be learning. The number 3 is that.
Hold on, back up. And you know, one more person. What do you think about who's on the Atlanta Housewives? The beautiful chocolate sister. What's her name? The mouthy one though.
Portia.
Kenya Moore
and her husband. Oh my goodness.
Aren't they divorced or getting divorced?
Yes. Did she not marry a jackass, or did she not marry a jackass? He cared nothing. I mean, that could have been a total power couple. She could have flipped his business and made it even better than what he had before, because that's what women's supposed to do. We're supposed to get into a man's life and make it better in our own way. And he didn't want no parts of it. It seemed like she was really trying to submit. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I have not seen
he was
that
a butthole,
in a good while.
I don't even like Kenya.
I'll sometimes read the reviews about it, but I have not seen that in a good while. So I know she got married and they had a child together, but I really don't know anything about that guy. I haven't been watching that.
Mark Daly, he has a restaurant. Was it in New York?
Yeah, New York City. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he was
nasty to her.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was like, dang, it's bad enough that you're nasty to her, but you're nasty to her in public and in front of her friends, in front of the camera. You can't even cut off the jackassness.
Right.
You can't turn it off.
And then
she was not aware that he.
Yes, she was not aware of what now?
That he was like that before they got married.
I know, that's the thing.
She had to have been. She had to have been. You know, he can't cut it off. He's like that all the time. You can't cut that off.
And did she really have a baby at that time, or was that a surrogate that had a baby for her? Did she really have a baby?
No, she
really wanted to get married so bad. She wanted to get married so bad. She picked the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, and I think a story to tell, he said it before too. She didn't vet him properly, number one. They got married really, really quickly. And I think her mind was so clouded, and she was an older woman, and she's never had a baby. She wanted a baby in wedlock. And so I think it was probably a lot of the red flags probably weren't as blaring as before they got married. But like you said, Kay, it's no way he could have hit. He was straight evil.
He had no control over his nastiness. So she knew.
He hated her.
Maybe she thought that he would get better, but she knew.
You know what she probably thought it was? She probably thought it was the pressure of having a restaurant and keeping it afloat or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
We excuse the BS so that we can do what we want to do, which is get married. It's just like when, I say it all the time, you meet a dude in the club, you want to bone him. We just don't want him to say anything stupid so that we can do it with a clear conscience, so we don't feel stupid for giving him the booty. Right. Okay. So just don't say anything stupid. Men think they talk themselves into it. No, you talk yourselves out of it. We already made a decision. We just want you to let us do it without feeling stupid about it.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have been looking. I mean, I know Candy because some of the articles I wrote, I know of her, but I haven't looked at that, and I didn't know that that was the situation. I do, kind of have compassion because I know she wanted to have a child, and like you said, she wanted to have
Yeah.
a child, and I didn't know he was that type of person,
He was
unfortunately.
horrible.
Yeah.
And like Kay said, she was, Kenya has her ways, but he was so nasty to her that we felt bad for Kenya, even though Kenya has done some wicked things and she's, whatever. I think she has a good heart behind closed doors. I think she just does it to kind
Hmm.
of, make it more
Can you know how to
interesting
make
for
her money?
TV. Right,
Can you know how to make her
exactly.
money?
She's
Okay.
doing probably what Kevin Samuel does, and other people do,
She was
just
trying to get that
beef it
Mimi
up.
money.
Right, exactly. But go ahead, because I know you got other things to do too, Ray. So go ahead and finish that list.
Okay.
I love that list.
I tried to give you, I knew we were going to be on for a while, so I tried to give you a block of time. Let me get this in for you. But let me just see
Uh,
what we got. Number three, they are good confidants, team players, and can allow someone else to take the limelight. I was moving around. Did you hear me okay on that one?
right. That they don't
Okay.
mind not being in limelight. Yeah.
Hmm. Then they don't compete with their woman and enjoy letting her shine. So that was probably one of the biggest ones because a lot of times, like when we talked about that, how people who are married to a politician, usually
Hmm.
the stage man, the person that's their campaign or someone really in the behind the scenes is their husband. And that was like
Hmm.
Keisha Lance Bottom, the outgoing mayor of Atlanta. Her husband does those types of things. And that's typically the political husband. When you have a
Hmm.
wife that's out there like that, he does a lot of the behind the scenes things because he really, wants her to shine. And
Right.
the another part was that he has a healthy ego that is not dependent on being the center of attention.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
everything right there. That kind of
Hmm.
sums it all up.
Bobby
He
Brown
is
didn't have
health.
that.
He is healthy. You say who didn't have that, Kay?
well,
Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
He didn't like
Yeah.
his wife being much more famous than him.
Right.
Well, go
yeah,
ahead.
Right.
yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Remember how we talked about in the industry, if you, especially since she was such a superstar and she's bringing out all this dynamic stuff, and he was a part of a team. He brought some things out. He was kind of like an R&B artist, but she was complete pop. Everybody loved her. And so she
Hmm.
was
Right.
selling, those things. I could see that on that. And then the last part is that they complement complement. That means that they enhance and add value. And then they also complement complement. They express affection, admiration, and
Yes.
respect to their woman. So when you
Right.
put all those things together, that's how you have that whole. And so they're going to be people who say that they want to be the he-man of every relationship, but it's important that it work out. And why would you dim the light of a woman that's so dynamic and that she's got this that you? And they tried to do that. I don't know if you got to see the Aretha Franklin story, but it looks like she had some really tumultuous relationships because at that time, as she was blowing up, her first
Hmm.
husband kind of wanted to control everything. But in that era, that was the common, but it didn't work then for her because as she
Right.
was blowing up and becoming financially independent, he could have rode the wave with her. But at that time, the guys from that era were a little bit different. But Todd,
Yeah.
I think, really compliments her, and he's given her what she wanted. She wanted a family. She wanted to be married and have a
Right.
family. So she's her first daughter's off to school, and now her children. She's living that American dream. She's a married
Right.
woman. She has children. She's going through all of that. And you could tell a lot of things if people look at body language that they look how wide her smile is and look how close her
Hmm.
body is to him. And she's a very
Right.
attractive one, but that says a lot
It
because
does. Body language. It does.
when you touch somebody like that and you are that means that you really are into that person. So those are some of the things on there. How do you feel about those? You and Kay, how do you feel about those attributes for the men that tend to date and marry high value women?
I
Was
think
that
a
question?
lot of
Oh.
men. I think a lot of men will find it as that being a beta male, but I think that's even more so an alpha male because that's a man who could stand on his own. It's just all about if you're a healthy and whole man. If you're not healthy and whole, whatever you do is just gonna just disintegrate. That's just all to it. You're
Hmm.
gonna have issues. You just, and it's not even just with women, just with your own family members, with your job. I mean, well, actually, you could probably still be good at your job, but it's just when it comes down to the things that's really important to life. If you're not a healthy and whole person, especially, it seems like women, we can do a little better when we're not healthy and whole, because we so used to having to be dynamic and we have kids, so we used to faking it and the snap it. When a man is like healthy and whole, you got a problem. It is a big problem. It always shows itself
I think
like
it's a problem on both
immediately.
sides, but
Yes, it is. Uh-huh.
I say I go along with what you said as far as there needs to be that alpha male needs to be a true alpha male. If he's a true alpha male, he can handle being with a strong woman. Period.
Right.
Strong,
Period.
famous, rich, well educated, whatever her attributes are, all or one of them, he should be able to handle that. If he's not an alpha male.
Okay.
Period.
That's
So
a
if
good
you
way
are,
of looking at that. Yeah.
hmm so if you're in that black manosphere, and if you're talking all this junk about women, da 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 da, da, and what she needs to do and what you need to do, manipulate her, this and that, there's no way you can consider yourself an alpha male, and there's no way you can talk junk about another man. You're not an alpha male. If you have to bring someone else down, when you're an alpha, you're so high up, you want to pull other people up with you.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
what that's what
Including your
alpha
woman.
is, especially your woman. You know what I'm saying? Exactly, Kay. So if you're taking time like the other channels are, tending to do, and busting down women and talk about how to manipulate her and all this and all that, you're not an alpha male.
I
That's all
also want
to
to
it.
point out the female doesn't necessarily have to be highly educated or have high income, because I know a lot
Right.
of women that make good money, that are highly educated, have great positions at their job, and they are weak-minded women.
Mm.
They handle
Yep.
business one way and personal a
You ain't
totally
never
different way.
lie. I wish I had my
So,
my thing. I can hear it. My hand clapping.
oh, is that what that was?
That's all I was trying to do. Shut up. I know y'all love
Okay,
this.
okay.
I
I
can't be
didn't
my
know
own
what it
self.
was, but I'm glad you broke that down for me, Tish.
Thank you, because, ma'am, do better.
Yeah, girl. This I gotta get me a. I'm about to use my Mac computer because this is not it. But yes, that is so true. Yeah. So Ray, what do you? And we're gonna close this out because I know you got things to do. But
Okay.
how do you feel? So how do
Final
you
thoughts?
think that can be? Think this could be an alpha woman? I mean, have you ran into those type of women? They could just be on the top of the game. Like, okay, perfect example. I think Chloe Kardashian. Oh my gosh, she can do whatever she wants to do, but she is definitely not an alpha woman, and she don't want it either. You know what I'm saying? That's just
Hmm.
an example I can think of right out the gate. I don't know, Kay, you can think of another one, but yeah, I mean, just
No,
having
I don't
that
do too
inner
well with pop
strength.
culture.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
It
exactly.
is a
But Ray,
little bit hard. Go ahead. I
you
didn't mean
said
to go ahead.
no,
It
you
is
said
a
what
little bit
now?
harder when people are from the popular community. Pop culture is a little bit difficult to kind of look at because they have a lot of wealth that comes to them through. But when you talk about people that quote have to work for a living, you know what I mean, and they have to
Right.
negotiate through all that, there are a lot of trade-offs to go out in that. But you're willing to do that because you love that person and you make commitments to each other. So a lot of and so I mean, a lot of the guys like we talked about who were trashing out, they even call married men simps, as though
Yes.
even though married men are healthier than you, wealthier than you, have higher incomes and have more sex. And also, I mean, why would you? I don't understand these guys, but maybe it is what it is. Is it really healthy to want to be running behind a whole lot of women throughout your adulthood? I mean, and like, is it really safe to be,
Insecurity.
using call girls throughout your life? You know nothing about these women, really? You know, I mean, I feel safer, you know, with one woman that I love who loves me, you know, that we can, you know, that when we love each other and we care about each other. Now, some people don't want that, but I've never really understood why a lot of these guys is just like they act like primitive animals. You gotta act like just like really like a dog. You gotta run through 25, 30, 100 women. That, you know, it is what it is. But I think they have to check that, and like women, you know, yeah, and I think we made some good points tonight that you
Right.
women
Excellent.
are not doing anything out of order, that you had to do what you had to do to make a way for yourself. And there are guys that we have to help them, but attacking women for the man's underachievement is not going to help the men achieve. We got to find
Right.
ways to help those guys get on par, because once they start really achieving, their self-esteem will improve.
Right.
Because part of the reason I think, like, when we go back to the Black Manosphere thing, they really haven't achieved that much in life. You can see some of them when they come on and they have their meetups on Zoom and stuff like that. You can even tell from the back. Some of them have, like, from what I guess is, they're in little small rooms with Office Depot type pictures that they printed out on some printer. I mean, and I'm not trying to be hard, you know, but when you're in
It's the
college,
truth.
I can see you doing that. But if you're in your 30s and 40s, you need to have a home. You need to have some showing. You could have at least, and I haven't seen anyone that had a nice office where they're talking from that. You know what I'm saying? But you see the women,
Right.
look at these women when they come on. They'll usually have a nice office. They either be in the kitchen, a nice something will be showing a lot of stability. Whereas these guys still making videos in their car. And I'm not talking about a BMW, I'm talking about a Kia Sport that they just got. You know, they've been doing it all these years, and they're not looking at how they look. I know when if you're starting out and you a kid, but if you've been doing this 5 years and you still making videos out your car talking about these quote yos, that now the thing about Kevin Samuels that I think one of the things, his image is an image of success. That's why I think I mean, he dresses sharp.
Right.
Even when he moved, when we saw him, when he moved from Oklahoma to Georgia, when he moved to Atlanta, he upgraded that studio. We saw him piece by piece upgrade that studio or
Right.
whatever. And then when he got his money right, he upgraded again. I fully expect him to have a studio probably in 2022 or something, you know. And if he doesn't have a satellite radio show sometimes, because they like what he's saying, even though
Yeah.
we understand, but I fully think that he's going to take it and to that level because he has a niche. And if you could get some producers to kind of where it doesn't seem so, because people like that Jerry Springer element,
They do. A
but
train
Ratchet.
wreck.
yeah. And so that might do it. I don't know if he'll go mainstream because he has a lot of autonomy the way he's doing it now. But and I think
Right.
he'll make the kind of. I think in the next few, you know, he probably entered seven figures this year. He'll probably make once he gets his money kind of saved to where he really wants to. He'll probably, you know, do some things. But like the other guys, because even with the cash apps, they load his cash up. He's get $500,
A
you know,
thousand dollars
$1,000.
easy.
Yeah, and some shows it might be five or $10,000 worth of cash apps alone, and because they like
For
that,
real.
so it is what it is. But like you said, is that these guys we just have to picture them and really deeply because they are being misled. It's kind of like the ignorant leading the ignorant, and they
Yeah.
think that they know something, but their trashing out of education won't help them because they need more education. They can go, I don't care if they're 30, 40, or 50, 60, they can still go to community college. They need more
Right.
education, they need more understanding. And if anything I've done, Kay, I'm really glad that we have this because if I've said anything that has encouraged you and made you smile and happier, I'm glad that I had reached out to you because you're a very beautiful
Right.
woman. You've got a lot to offer someone. And I just think that you got a beautiful spirit as well. And I think that
Thank
there are
you.
men out there that need to, you'll shine for them. But when people are coming and attacking you, it's going to be hard to shine. But when you are at your best self you can be yourself, and that
Yeah,
includes
that's
your
what women are.
education, your degree, then yeah, people will say that and they'll want to. And he'll bring some positive things to the table. And you don't give me the impression that a person has to have all these things together, but what I believe that he must have is respect for who you are. He must
Right.
Amen.
respect you and what you've done with your life. Because like I said, black women have given us chances all the way through. They're the
Right.
probably the highest group that does marry people that are not on their educational level. And just as a norm, people who do that, it's not no big deal in our community. Other communities, they don't do that a lot of times.
Right. That is true. And we get, you know, we get, what's the word, bullied if we want to think anything different. But like I said at the beginning, you really made me, feel like it was okay. Women, we can tell each other that all day long, but when a man, comes in and says, listen, it's okay, it's fine. There are men that are okay with it, or even relish it. It just totally gave me a whole different perspective. The material you sent, I just enjoy reading it. Like I said, you inspire me to. I'm reading books, and I don't like reading. Kay is the reader. Kay loves to read books and stuff like that. I don't read, but now find myself doing research
Yeah, I
I
don't
haven't
think
done
this
since.
heifer read my book yet. Did you finish my book?
What
Okay,
How about
go
that?
okay, you
ahead.
wrote the book? What's the name of the book?
Go ahead. We're not even gonna talk about it. Go ahead.
What's
Go
Okay,
ahead.
what's
okay.
it? I
I'm
I had my
bitter.
I had to,
Go ahead.
I had Tamia read the book for me. Okay, but Tamia is the reader. Okay.
You did not let your child read my book.
Remember, I told you she read the book. Remember, she was talking about the
I thought you told me
necrophilia.
Victoria. Oh,
No,
I
I said
thought you said,
Tamia.
oh, ooh, okay.
Right. What the we can you say what
Continue.
the F is K doing? We can hear everything. I don't know who that is. But yeah, so today we have Ray, and Ray is an advocate of love, of marriage, of healthy relationships, and
Of respect.
and family. And this is what men are supposed to be, guys. So I know we do a show with Steve every week, and I like doing that because when you're trying to accomplish something big as marriage, you need to see the other side and see how other men think, so you know the red flags to be aware of. Period. So no one thinking everything is peachy and perfect and la la la. That's the problem with women and why we ignore the red flags and stuff of that nature. So Ray, I just appreciate you so much. You really laid it down. I was already big into ignoring, not ignoring red flags and really being vigilant. And that you've been on my other live stream, says, as I like to say, every live stream, I haven't been laid in 16 months because I am very intentional
Hold on.
on
Mhm.
I got a
getting,
question. Do you have an
yes,
actual date, like can you say it's the 14th, the 8th? When
August the
does your month
19th.
restart? August 19th. Good gracious. So
August,
it's 16 and a half
August.
months. Good God. Mm. Continue.
Okay, are you wait,
So,
are you asking
yes.
Tish a question? Is that directed to Tish?
That was directed at Tish, yes.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay, all right.
Right. Ray say, I don't want to clear that up. I don't have that problem. But
He said
but
yesterday.
I know, right? But yeah, so that's how I was intentional and just learning things like, being intentional, ignoring the red flags, and now I've learned that I don't have to dance around. If a man asks me what I do for a living or X, Y, and Z, I'm not gonna dance around. I'm not gonna be like some sisters kind of be and be like, well, I'm blah 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 blah. I'm not gonna do that. But it's a part of who I am, and it's okay. It's okay to be an alpha woman because there are alpha males that love that and they want to take you to another level and they want you to take them to another level. And these men are healthy and they are whole. That's the bottom line. If a man has given you any pushback, he is not healthy and whole, and it's out of here. That's just all to it.
Bounce.
Bottom line, period. So, hey, my Vivid Live, how you doing? Yeah, thank you, Ray. Great googly moogly. Okay, whatever. A story to tell. Good evening. Yeah. So, any final words or anything? I know you already said. And thank you, y'all, so much. Thank you for putting. I don't know what was going on with my computer tonight. I had to jump on my iPhone, but I appreciate y'all being so patient. I'm sorry I was gone for half of the time. So, Ray, I
I'm
appreciate you
good.
being patient with me. You've been on my other live streams. You know, I don't really usually have these problems. Kay, thank you for holding it down and keeping, Ray going for me. So I appreciate y'all so much. So I wasn't sure if anyone had any questions or anything. Um, this guy, Azrael, the Daywalker, says men don't like women with masculine traits. Okay, I will agree with that. Let's see. Just like women don't like men with feminine traits. That's an excellent point.
What are these
Um,
masculine and feminine traits? Asking for a
yeah,
friend.
yeah. I mean, let me see. It's like two stags. I think it's like two stags headbutting Azrael. Um, Yeah, and we already came to the conclusion that when you're dealing with a healthy whole man, you are as a woman, you automatically going to fall in line. So yes, women going to be alphas, but when she's with that alpha male, she knows what to do. That's just all to it. Just like Candy Burris and her husband. Yes, she's an alpha female, but when she's with her husband, the man that gave her those babies, the man that gave her that family unit, the man that helps her free her mind because she's happy and she can think about all these other businesses. She's already been doing it, but now she can do it even more, 10x it for her kids, for her legacy. And I hate to say, that's what men bring to a woman's life, legacy. Yes, we can have our own thing and we can die and leave something behind. A man can have his own thing and be by himself and die and leave something behind. But in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think a legacy only matters is when it's as a family unit. That's what a legacy is to me. I don't know. How do y'all feel about that before we end?
I totally agree with that. A man is not leaving a legacy without a family.
That's true. And you're not leaving any generational wealth without a family. So I don't
Oh,
know how
that
that
part.
works
Right.
out.
I've been on this generational wealth thing for a minute. So,
Yes,
yes, honey.
you've been doing
Yes.
that since college, Kay. You've been doing that since college. You just can't switch up when you find a quality man. Um, Azrael, the Daywalker, is it's not that you're switching up. Like with Candy Burrs, for example, we use her as an example because she didn't marry someone that was necessarily on a higher financial plane than her. But
When he
she
says
did
switch up,
fall
what
in
is he
line.
referring to?
I think he's
Fall in
trying to
line.
say that you're a strong woman and all of a sudden you know how to be docile and
So you want
it's not even
punk ass women to be walking around all day, every day, and then there's some man that gonna pick her up. Like, I mean, so I'm trying to, like, she's
that's
not supposed
true.
to have any strength. I don't understand how that's
Right.
supposed to work.
He said that's just like me saying I'm going to start to get a job and dress better and work out once I meet a beautiful woman.
No, it's
Yeah,
not
I
the same
mean,
thing. It's not the same thing.
right. I
Yeah.
mean, it's all about being a good person in general. Candy has always shown herself to be a humble person. She's always shown. She's never been an arrogant person. She's just always been a driven person. So it just really that's a man or woman. It just depends on the kind of person you are in general. So yes, you can be a strong alpha woman, a strong woman, accomplished woman. But if you already got that arrogance in you, or if you already a certain type of woman that's not suitable for a mate, that just is what it is. No, she's not going to switch up, even no matter how much she may act like she will to get married. Just like a man is not going to switch up. Just like the man that Kenya Moore married, that he's just a jerk. No woman can make him be that way. He's trying to blame that on Kenya. No, he is just a nasty person in general.
Mm.
So it's not a switching up. It's just something that's already in you. But the alpha comes into your accomplishments and being driven. So that's what we're referring to, right, Ray? Or what
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah, I believe that. And Israel, if I'm not sure, you were at the Manosphere meetup in Atlanta. And so the brothers there are working on themselves to improve themselves and get their education, get their skills. Even Theo said that he was working on, getting his fitness together and all those things. So they're trying to do the right thing. And so these women are as well. And so all I'm saying is that if you don't want a woman who is viewed by society as an alpha woman, then don't pursue that type of woman. But you don't have to trash a woman for our
That's right.
education and accomplishments. And so brothers like me are going to stand up for these sisters because that's completely out of order. So you do your thing, and you deal with the type of woman that's right for you, and then let the excellent brothers who've elevated themselves to have good, healthy relationships with women like Trish and Kay and other women who are bringing a lot to the table, who are good women. And you, as Kay said, they don't have to necessarily have a degree or all of that, but if they're good women, let those good brothers, the single brothers that are still single, to get out and develop relationships and marriages with those type of women.
Let me.
Right.
I'm going to address Azrael as well, and
Mm-hmm.
he said, well, I'm gonna go back to the first statement saying that's like me saying I'm gonna start to get a job and dress better and work out once I meet a woman. Again, that's not the same thing as a woman handling her business. Let's say you have a 40-year-old woman out here who's been holding it down for herself because she's single. Um, she's strong. She's got a good job. She's paying her bills. She's doing this. She's had to rely on no one but herself. Okay, so what were you expecting her to do? And why does it seem like anytime you run into a strong woman, all of a sudden she's got the attributes of a masculine man, that she's a masculine woman, she has masculine energy? Why can't she not just be a strong woman handling her business? And then when she meets the right strong man, then she is willing to say, okay, I don't have to do everything by myself anymore. I can rely on someone else besides myself. But he has to prove that he is the person that she's supposed to submit to. And that doesn't mean she has to weaken herself to make him feel better. That just means that they can work together to have a cohesive relationship where they're both respectful to each other and respecting each other's positions in life. Period. So
Mm.
I'm trying to understand why it's always masculine energy or she's not feminine because she's strong. Make it make
Mm.
sense. When is she supposed to? Is
Mm.
she just supposed to walk around being a weakling so you can feel good?
Mm. So it can be clear that you're the masculine. So it won't. So it's So it won't be mixing it up, or. And I love what Vega said too. Vega said, "Feminine does not mean nice, sweet, kind, rug. What
Rug.
does it rug? What it does mean is connected to her feeling, body, receiving, and warmth. Y'all are preaching it, Kay. Y'all are killing me. But then he
I'm
said,
not
what else he
masculine.
says, Kay?
He said, oh, now he's saying, well, I hear this saying, conditional femininity. There's no such thing. Like, just like I'm not masculine only during business hours. Well, it seems like you, okay, then he says, what makes a woman a weakling? Let me address that part first. It seems like that's what you want, is a woman to be a weakling. You want her to be in submissive mode before she has someone to submit to. You want her, and let me please acknowledge that being submissive does not make her a weakling. However, it seems like that's the low hanging fruit you guys are looking for. You want her
Right.
to totally not have any type of strength so that she can be what you want her to be, so you can mold her into a woman. Miss me with that one. Um, and back to the conditional femininity. When is she not feminine? What is she doing that makes her not feminine? Please state that. What is she doing that's all of a sudden she's masculine for 6 hours of the day or whatever you want to say?
And Kay, they think that you and I, we're masculine. And what are we doing? We're sitting here, we're laughing, we're talking, we speaking our truth. I mean, what is so masculine about that? Because we say it with authority, because we mean what we
Girl,
say. I
anytime I
mean,
put a
there are
little
some men
bass in
like
my voice, I
Ray
become
that are used
masculine.
to
I
that.
tell you what.
You know,
It
there are men
doesn't
like
matter.
Ray that
It doesn't
appreciate
matter how
that.
we
They're
deliver
married
it.
to that.
They don't care. It's because we had the balls to say it. All of a sudden, we have masculine energy, and I will never accept that phrase. I don't have masculine energy. No matter how aggressive I get, that does not make me masculine. I'm a feminine woman with strength. Period.
Bottom line, period. Yes. And Patrice Garner says, so is the manosphere is wanting a submissive woman so they can control her or make her meek? What about that, Ray?
Yeah.
Let's see. I think that the manosphere guys have not been successful with women, period. And so they are seeking women that, from their status in American society, that they can, yeah, to dominate. So that's why they're going overseas to women. I'll use the term deprived countries because we have first world women here that have standards for us. So women from countries where they have less resources and the men are not investing in those women, they may be appear to be more submissive, but it may or may not be true. But I did want to
Right.
have something for Azrael. So since he was at the Manosphere meetup, so were the brothers who were at the were the overweight brothers at the Manosphere meetup who had man boobs? Were they also masculine? Or are they presenting that? Is that what you're saying? That they've got to take about a year to get their weight together and things of that nature? And they were at the conference and they want to have nice women. Even Theo, the leader of the IT department, is morbidly obese, and he said he's working on that. So can these women be working on themselves as well as getting themselves together to be the type of woman that they need to be for themselves?
Exactly. And I'm sorry, Patrice. My computer is all janky, so I can't do any calls or anything tonight. I was going to do calls, but it's all screwed up. So I'll be back on track. I'm going back to my Apple. I'm not messing with this Samsung computer no more
See,
because
the
it
enemy was
sucks.
trying to get us because we were talking about some serious stuff about
I
marriage, love, and family.
know.
Well, Tish, so
Exactly.
you should have gone to the Manosphere meetup so that you can learn some IT skills.
Girl, my dumb self will probably come back with a fourth husband. Girl, bye. And be getting divorced
Uh,
next week with my luck.
okay, girl, no, we're not gonna do that again. We already said we're
Me,
not doing that no more.
I know. Let me see. As for the Walker said, the premise was she'll be feminine with when a man comes along. No, we always gonna be feminine.
We're
You
gonna
can't
be
just get
submissive
a
when the right man comes along.
right. You can't just get a six pack in 2 months when you eat candy and drink soda every day. The same applies with femininity. We are creatures of habit.
Habit.
And what are you are what you do every day. Yeah, we agree. But I mean, okay, so let me ask you this, Azrael the Daywalker. Are you do you think Kay and I are do we have masculine energy? What is your opinion? So I just want to yeah, I want to kind of gauge on where your
Let me bat my
mindset
eyelash.
is. I'm scared to bet mine because my computer might knock out. I mean, my phone might tip over or something crazy. So, wait for that. But yeah, I wish we could do callers in tonight and stuff like that, but I can't get it together. So, but I guess Azrael probably let's see when you have when have you ever heard of a woman say, "Dude is a sweet masculine man. Strength is not associated with femininity."
I'm gonna need him to do better with an example. What the hell was that? Have you ever heard a woman say a dude is a sweet masculine dude? So you're trying to say if a woman says a guy is sweet, that means he's not masculine? So a masculine man can't be nice? Is that
Right.
I'm still not first of all, that's not even an answer to the question that was asked, but I would like an answer to that particular question because I don't really
Right.
understand what you were trying to say there.
Now, this is a story to tell. The story says, say, no, y'all have horny auntie energy. You know what? I don't want to be anyone's auntie, okay? I don't want to be a auntie just yet. Give me a break. Story to tell. I am so done with you right now. And Patrice Garner, and we're going to close it out. She said, question. So I'm a single woman. that wants to relinquish some of the pressure that on me as a single Black woman to my man husband. I want to take my off my armor.
Armor. Yeah.
Yeah, armor. Yep. Yep. That's what I want to.
Exactly.
I'm
So
sorry.
men don't seem to understand that. Like, you've got to carry the weight with you 24/7 until there's someone to share that weight with. So what are we supposed to do in the interim? There's no one to
Right.
share the weight. So you got the weight by yourself until there's a partner ready to share that weight with you. So what do they expect? They looking for they want to be Captain Save-A-Ho so bad they can't deal with the woman that's already got her shit together. I don't understand what he's trying to say.
Oh,
And also,
Azrael,
Kay,
the
can I add to that that's nature. If you consider yourself or feel that you're in a dangerous, unprotected situation, you're not going to be walking around smiling. But in the right type of environment where you can feel comfortable, you'll do that. So as we,
right.
protect our women and provide, because when you're in your safe household, you're smiling. If you're in dangerous areas, you're looking out to not be harmed. And I would like brothers like Azriel, what's his name, Azriel, the Daywalker, to comment about that, because these are just basic manosphere talking points that he's throwing out there. We've already covered that. And like I said, Azriel, if you don't want a woman who's identified in society as an alpha woman, then you don't have to approach that woman. You don't have to deal with that. There are plenty of women that you claim that you want that are not, quote, alpha women, and go for those type of women. But don't trash women that you don't feel that you want to be a part of. There are a lot of good men who will date and marry the women that have accomplished positive, good things with their lives and see them as an asset. So, do your thing, Azriel.
Let me address, Azriel said, the lady with the nice faux locks, first of all, thank you for that, has a little aggression in her tone. I sense she don't back down easily. Um, you'd probably be surprised to find out I am married and have been for almost 30 years, and I am extremely submissive to my husband, but only to him. Everybody else, fuck you.
Wow.
And no, I don't back down easily. But again, I only submit to him.
Right. That's the only man you're supposed to submit
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
And,
And how did the
Patrice
date
had a
go,
really
Patrice?
good.
Patrice said the date went really good. We want details, so we
Yay.
definitely gonna panel you up real soon so we can get the deets on that. And I'm
Yes.
sure by then might have date two. All right
Right,
now.
exactly. All right, guys. Well, that was thank you, Ray. Thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for tapping into a part of my brain that has been laid dormant for a lot of years. I'm doing my research. Actually enjoying it. So I thank you for that. Um, I'm an alpha woman. That's just all to it. And I'm not apologizing it for anymore. I'm not gonna hide it. And it is what it is. And if a man doesn't like that, then I know
If
that
you
is
can't
not
handle it,
the man for me.
Good.
Red flag out the way. Love it. So I appreciate that so much. Let me see. Ezra said that was fun. Yeah, so either way, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you, Ray. We're going to have you on another time when I have my Mac computer so we can really dig in, because I had like a million questions, but didn't have time pissing around. Um, Thank you, Mother Biblet Life. Thank you, Kay, for always being here as always. And y'all have a good night. Y'all take care. Thank y'all for the
Okay.
moderators for tonight. Thank y'all, just everyone who watched tonight. And I just appreciate y'all being patient. And y'all take care. Bye bye.
thanks
Okay.
everyone. Good night.
You're
Good
welcome.
night.
Take care.
Bye, Ray. Okay.